Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan. And today we are bringing you the pre-match build-up as Tottenham look to build on that impressive win over Man City as we travel to relegation-threatened Burnley in the Premier League. And to get us through this, we are joined by co-hosts Jack Kanicki and Sean from Spurs Talk Show. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Keeping really well, Dave. Looking forward to see what the Spurs are made of this time around. You know, the chorus went through that bit of that hiccup, and we want to make sure that that was just a bit of a hiccup, Dave, that they build on this, that, you know, they use this Man City performance as their sort of kind of marker for, you know, what a performance is needed in order to even challenge for top four. I'm looking forward to it, Dave, because it's almost like we kind of Lazarused ourselves, you know, back after those 2 defeats. And maybe, you know, the boys have something up their sleeve and perhaps going on a win streak here.
No, I definitely hope so, Jack. Stop. You're getting us too pumped up. It's illegal. It's not even 4 o'clock.
I'd never do it. Yeah, first time ever. First time ever. It took David's job from him. First time ever.
Legal before 4 p.m. over here in Ireland, Jack. Shawnee, what day is it, brother?
Well, I'm going to have to say this a little bit quieter because I'm testing this new microphone and I don't want to hurt everyone's eardrums. But guys, it's game day! Come on!
Well done.
You pumped for today, Shawnee?
Can't wait. Can't wait for Harry Kane and Sonny to break the record. I can't wait for Kulu Deki to get another one, to get his career just off to the best start ever. And I can't wait for a clean sheet. To be nice to get a clean sheet for a change. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great day. Thanks for having me on.
No, absolute pleasure. And of course, guys, you make sure everybody does tune back in here at 7:15 for me, Jack, and Sean, yet again, for the watch along. We will be joined on this program here shortly by Adam William Cale. He's just getting back from work and then he'll be hopping straight on. But look, let's see what Irish Hotspur Army are in the building with us. We have Moondog. Moondog, big yourself up. I'll send you an email after this, my man. The Omari Hotspur. Yeah, look, I'll have a look at my emails after this, man, and I'll email you back as well, brother. Welsh Gal says, greeting, lads. Always a pleasure. Bring on the Clarets, the Harrisami Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Welsh Gal. We have Jano71. I'm so nervous about this game. Yeah, look, a lot of Spurs fans are. I can understand the nervousness, but look, we beat City. The only thing I will say is I do expect a bit of rotation today, and that is probably what does make me that little bit nervous going into it, but we will wait and see. Adil Bukhari says, let's go. Another Son Kane master class incoming. Just trust Conte, lads. Big yourself up. Derek Hutchins says, big up, Bob Spurs. Not so nice to hear you speak on streams again. It was. He was on the Tottenham on tour the other day. It's good to see him getting back in action for sure, Derek. And he's gone with 2-1 Spurs. We have Alfie Gosling says 3-1 Kane with 2 and some with 2, 1 goal, 1 assist, and Kulu. Spurs, hope everyone is okay. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Alfie Gosling. Hope you're keeping well, my man. We also have Matt C. Big game today, lads. Let's bring the energy and motivation from the game and stomp these guys back to the championship. Come on, you Spurs. You know, 100%. Big yourself up. I want Harry Kane to bring that big dick energy. That's what I want him to bring. You know, walk out there with the swagger. Moondog, he says, my £10 bet is on a 30-1 your first goal scorer. Come on.
Whoa.
You're
I hope it's a free
Shawnee
kick,
there,
Moondog.
You're
I want it
teasing
to be a
Shawnee.
free kick.
It's not a bad shout. It will come in one day, but Shawnee's straight on it. Look at him, straight over there now. You're teasing him,
Can you see me just immediately go to my Betfair? Are you looking at my screen?
No, I can see that. I can see the screen and the face change. Carol Simpson says, afternoon, gents. Big win incoming. 3-1. Come on, you Spurs. I love that. Mary W. This time Spurs are going to kick on. I really hope so, Mary. Big yourself up. Mark Cousins, big up, lads. Let's smash them tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Mark. Hope you're keeping well. Dark Sung G is in the building. Never misses one. He says, come on, you Spurs. Hoping for at least a 3-0 for the goal difference. 4:30 a.m. kickoff in Korea. Wow. At least our waveform this year is great with us winning in the 95th minute, except the Blues. Jack, what would you say, Dark Sung G?
Dave, remember maybe 2 or 3 months ago, Dark Sun G was talking about the goal difference and how worried he was about it, under Nuno. Now 3 months later, Dark Sun G couldn't be more right. And, he's still talking about it, Dave. So honestly, everybody in the chat, I must say, must honestly give a bit of applause to Dark Sun G, because this guy was worried about it before anybody was even thinking about it, I must say. So Dark Sun G, a 3-0 is an absolute must. The fact that I believe Dave the Scum are like 10 ahead or something like that on us in goal differential. So if it does come down to, maybe level on points at the end of the season, Dark Sun G, they'll get it on goal differential for sure. So I'm totally with you. 4:30 a.m., I think that's probably the worst you can get. Maybe 3:30, but you could probably say is maybe the worst. I would say 3:30 is the absolute worst. 4:30, I've been there a few times growing up, Dark Sun G, especially on the West Coast, but you're more used to it than I am. Absolute legend. But absolutely, the away form is looking better than the home form as well, Dark Sun G. Big yourself up, my man.
No, big up Dark Sun G. Triple espresso. I'll definitely see you through, brother. Big yourself up. Really appreciate the support. Paul Gregory, I love your intro music. I'm having a rave up in my car. Big up Irish. Big yourself up, man. Keep raving. Absolutely love that. It's a good day for it. Spurs beating City. Burnley coming up. Leeds could be and then the FA Cup Tuesday night could be a nice week for us Spurs fans. Stevie Fraser says, big up the Harrison Flat Cap Army. 3 points tonight. 1 for Kane and 1 for Cutie. Come on, you Spurs. Legend. Love that. We also have Phil Letis in the building having a sneaky listen while busy at work. Big up, Phil. Hope you're keeping well. Daz Lear says, we're going to get on a good run now. I really hope so, lad. I really do. Cody Max says, welcome to the day Kane and Son break the record for the Premier League combinations. I really hope it is today. I really do, Cody. Big yourself up. It's good to see you. Dan N, during the game, you have to feel the blood of your opponent. I don't have any other words to explain it. When you go into a game, one team lives and another dies. Conte effing love this man. Quotes from Conte. You gotta love that. Big up, Dan. And that, honestly, that's spine tingling, so it is. Dark Sun G says, I hope we can use Decky again today. Ben and Pierre and Højbjerg, I must. Yeah. Well, look, Dark Sun G, we will get into that, my man. So we will a bit about Kulusevski or Lucas Moura for today's game. And the midfield as well. I have Conte's quotes from yesterday as well. So I don't know if we're going to see Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg today, Dark Sun G, based on it. But big yourself up. We'll take a few more and then we'll crack on. Aaron Doyle says, yes, lads, 3-1 tonight. Still call is in the house. Come on, you Spurs. Kane the Longshot says, good day, gentlemen. Tough challenge ahead. Hoping the boys respond well and keep the same attitude as the City match. I really do hope so. Look, the City match is going to be hard to replicate, though. The concentration levels and that, it definitely would have took its toll, but absolutely love that Kane the long shot. Tice Headphones says, want the exact lineup. Only person I wouldn't mind dropping out is Emerson. Don't really want to see Doherty, though. Fair point. Adessa says, big up, boys. Have a good game. 2-0 Spurs win. Got to back the City game up with another 3. Could not agree more with you. Could not agree more. Who else have we got? We've got Mikey Mailer says Burnley will try to stifle the game. We have to be wary of a breakaway and Veghorst 100%. Tiger Boy 65 afternoon, boys. Big up, Tiger Boy. Lazy 801, big up Harris Army and congrats Flat Cap Army on the big 1K and congrats to Sean on the new mic. Hope it doesn't break after too many game days. I love that. Love that. Big Boss Man. He says, woo! Big up, big boss, man. Philip Brady's in the building. Big game tonight. I must win. That is Philip. Big yourself up, brother. And we also have Spurs 72 morning, my favorite panel. Let's go. Come on, you Spurs. You got to love that. Jacob Anderson says Spurs need to not play down to the competition, hoping for a 3-0 Spurs win. Love that, Jacob. Catman Jess says, big up David, Sean, and Jack and the Harris and Flat Cap Army. Congratulations, Jacko. Flat Cap your talk.
Congrats, Jack. Congratulations.
They got Catman.
Spurs in Conte, we trust. And we just take 1 or 2 more, and then we're going to crack on. Okay, Williams says, David, Jack, and Sean, how are you, lads? Hope the team turns up tonight. We need that fire in the players' bellies again, like shown against City. Come on. Could not agree more, man. We also have Lily White Lane. Come on, you Spurs. Kane hat-trick. I love that, Lily White. Dave Tyson says, afternoon, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Kevin Ferguson says, big up, man. And Rude Boy Jack. Love that. Joe Ford says, let's smash I love that. And then we have Dark Sun G. By the way, did you guys look at the Man United March fixtures? I haven't, to be honest with you, Dark Sonji. If you have,
I'll take a look at it for you, Dark Sundry. I'll take a look at it for you.
I've got a slide I could send across to one of you guys if you want. It's got all of the remaining fixtures of all of the top 4 all lined out. If you want to see it, I can email it to one of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, email it to Jacko there. Email it to Jacko, and we'll see if we can get it in there. But big up Dark Sun G, my man. Really
Dark Sun G. I know what he's talking about. It's absolutely horrendous for them. It's absolutely horrendous. I mean, you might even see Rangnick get fired, Dave, already, to just be, put back, in the backroom staff already. I mean, seriously, they got a big task coming up.
I expect Wreck-It Ralph to be sacked anyway, or not even make the end of the season. United aren't doing that well. Look, they do have the potential always to kick on and go on a run, but
when those Man United fans came in the chat, Dave, that has aged like a fine wine, I must say. With the rank, that has aged like a fine wine. Big up Marcelo, back to that day. But Adam, good to see you in here, my man.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you inviting me on. Always great to talk with you.
No, it's about time. About time we got you on, my man. It's about time. So, Dark Zone G, this is what was put together by Sean yesterday on his show, and it shows all of the remaining fixtures here for all the top 4 teams chasing for the top 4. So, everyone take a good look at it there. We'll leave it there for another minute or two.
Man United have got 12 games. 6 of them are against the top 6. That's a tough run-in.
The March fixtures are Man City, Spurs, Liverpool, and Leicester, I believe.
Yeah,
those are the
March fixtures. They haven't got a hope.
And then also Champions League with Atletico.
Yeah,
no, they're ruled out. Yeah, goodbye United. Goodbye Wreck-It Ralph. That's what we love to see around here. But big up, very well put together, by the way, Sean. Fair play to you there,
very
man.
Well done, Sean.
Thanks, just quickly run through everything everybody needs to know before I start dishing out the questions. Of course, we are away at Turf Moor. It is kicking off at 7:30 p.m. tonight. The referee is Graham Scott. Stuart Atwell is in the VAR room. For all the American fans out there, it is on Peacock. In Canada, it's on The Zone. And in the UK and Ireland, we get special treatment. It is not on telly, would you believe? The watch-along does start at 7:15 p.m. here on this channel. So, if you want to see our reactions or even join us for the game, it's great therapy. Sometimes you can get your thoughts in. We'll get them up and stuff like that. Join us back here from 7:15 p.m. And if you want more of this pump up as soon as this is finished, follow me over to We Are Tottenham TV starting at 6 p.m. With Tottenham, just a few stats. Our last 5 in the Premier League, we've won 1-2 and lost 3. Each of our past 3 league wins, have come courtesy of 90-minute goals. The win against Watford, the win against Leicester, and the win against City. Each of our last 3 league wins have all come at last-minute winners. Prior to Saturday's 3-2 victory over Man City, Spurs had scored just 10 goals in 10 Premier League away fixtures, so we've rectified that. Spurs are on a run of 6 away games out of 7 in all competitions versus over the next while. So it's going to be a long journey on the road for us. We have lost just one of our past 20 league matches against sides starting the day in the relegation zone. So hopefully we can keep going with that stat today and get the win over Burnley. In 9 games where Dyer has started in the Premier League as the central defender in a back 3, Spurs are unbeaten, winning 6, drawing 3, and have conceded just 6 goals, keeping 5 clean sheets. Kane has either scored or assisted in each of his past 6 league appearances against Burnley, totaling 7 goals and 3 assists. So if I was a better man, it would be to Kane to get on the score sheet again today. And Spurs have scored in all but one of their 14 Premier League games versus Burnley. So I would put us down to score today. And Tottenham have only failed to score in one of our 14 Premier League matches against Burnley, and that was in a 0-0 draw back in 2015. I do have a few stats for Burnley, but I'll read them out, I suppose. I wasn't going to because they're only little Burnley, but Burnley ended a run of 12 matches without a win in all competitions by beating Brighton 3-0 on Saturday. Burnley are aiming to for back-to-back Premier League victories for the first time since January 2021. So, they're not on good form. They do a lot of draws. They are draw specialists. They scored as many goals in that game as they had in their previous 9. So they scored as many goals in the 3-0 win against Brighton as they did in their previous 9. So we don't know what Burnley team is going to show up today. And they have just won once in 20 home league matches, failing to score in 19 on 9 occasions. And Weghorst, believe it or not, and this is coming over from Germany and that as well, but his past 83 league goals have all been scored from inside the penalty area. So he is the definition of fox in the box. And he had the most shots, 9, created the most chances, 5, and had the joint most touches in the opposition penalty area, 13, of any Burnley player since his debut for the club. So it does show that he is actually getting them into good positions in the box since he's come in. Injury news, Oliver Skipp is still recovering, but he is not ready. Same with Tanganga, according to Conte. Reguilon was the person that missed the last match because of COVID, and he did not train Monday. So I'm not sure whether he's likely to miss out or whether he'll be on the bench, but I wouldn't be putting money on it. I wouldn't be expecting him to start. And Kane is fine after picking up a back injury, which Conte saying he has to play even if he has one leg. Gotta love that. And then for Burnley, Johan Berg Goodmanson is out, Charlie Taylor is out, and Mateus Vidre is out, and they do welcome back quite a few players. But look, we'll start cracking into it. Or is there a couple of super chats that we need to get to first? Yes, Adrian Chaya says, big up, lads. Big test tonight to see how we break down an opponent that gives us possession to keep us bogged down in the midfield of the pitch. No, 100%. And look, we'll throw this one at you, Shawnee. I mean, what do you want to say to Adrian Chaya?
Well, Adrian, I think it's definitely a completely different challenge tonight, right? Like, I think the game against Man City, obviously, it surprised everybody, apart from people on this channel who always backed us for a win. But I think the Man City are a team that don't care about how the opposition play. They don't worry, right? They think they're going to have 80% of the possession and that they're good enough with that possession to always score more. Even if they concede 1, they'll score 4 or whatever else. They obviously underestimate Tottenham. Tottenham are a perfect team to be able to play against a team like Manchester City. But we have seen in the past and in the not distant past, against the likes of Watford, against the likes of Southampton away, when teams sit in and sit deep and just kind of frustrate and squeeze and suffocate the life out of the spaces, then Tottenham are, prone to frustrations and struggle. Yeah. And so tonight is arguably just as tough of a challenge against a Burnley that are playing, that they're in a bit of form. They beat a Brighton team 3-0 very comfortably. And Brighton, I know Dave doesn't like the manager, but they're an okay outfit. They're a good outfit, generally speaking. So tonight is going to be, it's a massive test, Adrian. It's an absolutely massive test. And we've got to figure out the way to get past them, get through them. And I do think that having someone like Kulusevski is going to offer us something different that we didn't have before. When we have the pace of Mora, the pace of Bergwijn, or the pace of Sonny, etc. Sometimes if teams sit back, you can't use that pace effectively. Yeah. But when you've got someone who's more fleet of foot and can lift the ball in now with more of a delicate pass, a delicate cross, it's a whole other threat that we have, another tactic in our arsenal, if you like. And so I think tonight will be a tough game, Adrian, but I do think we'll overcome them comfortably in the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. Look, all I'd say is as long as Bentancur plays, I think we will have more than enough to be able to put them back to the test if they do sit deep. But big up, Adrian. Really do appreciate the support, my man. Really do appreciate it. Same as Dark Sun G as well. Everybody, make sure you do smash that like button. Make sure you do smash that subscribe button if you are new. Let's see if we can crack the 6K subscribers today. That would be absolutely awesome, following off the back of Jack's success yesterday. And guys, feel free to get your super chats in with your talking points, questions to the panel, whatever it may be. It is also a great way to help support myself and Jack on this YouTube journey. But do not worry, we do try to make sure everybody's included. We understand it is a big bad world out there and not everybody is in a position to be able to super chat. So at least get your comments in, your answers in, and everything else into the chat, and we will continue to bring them up as we go along discussing today's game. And look, we'll throw this one then at you, Adam. Welcome, first of all, making a debut on the channel. It is great to have you. It's my fault. I should have had you on a lot sooner. I've just been so busy and stuff like that. And so many people write to me. I do forget, who asks me and all that sort of stuff. But Adam, Tottenham occupy 8th position. The win over City puts Tottenham right back in the conversation for top 4. If we are really going to push Arsenal and Man U for that 4th spot, is this game and the game versus Leeds on Saturday must wins for us?
Yeah, I do believe so. I believe we need it for the points, and we also need it for the confidence. If you imagine, like, considering we've come off the back of 2 defeats before at Man City, and they were at home, can you imagine what that's going to do to the morale of the team if we go into another one of these games that should be games that we can win and we throw it away? You know, we can't stand to throw the teams in down near the relegation point. You know, we can't be throwing those games away. So it's essential to make sure we pick up the 3 points in each game, and it's essential for the team spirit as well. There's no doubt about it, because when we're coming up, I strongly believe that we can take Manchester United, and I would be absolutely blown over if Arsenal were to beat us at our place. I really think that those games are there for the taking as well, but it's not quite the same as saying, look, we're going up against relegation zone teams. And that being said, this game tonight, I think, is probably the most difficult, because Sean Dyche is no stranger to relegation battles. So he's going to try and fight his way out of that zone right now. So he'll be looking at Tottenham and thinking, okay, yes, they just beat Man City, but they also lost to Southampton and Wolves. He'll think that we're there for the taking. But we need to show him that we are planning on going on the most amazing run that we've seen in years, and we're going to get into top 4 by hook or by crook.
I hope so. I really do. Come on, way to kick it off with the positivity. Jack, the reason
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I love it. Jack, the reason why I started with Adam on this one is because I've actually designed this question specifically for you. Burnley ended a run of 12 matches without winning all competitions by beating Brighton 3-0 on Saturday, and are aiming for back-to-back Premier League for the first time since January 2021. But I have won just once in 20 home league matches, failing to score on 9 occasions. What Burnley team do you think will show up? And can we cope with either Burnley team that does show up, whether it's the bad Burnley team or the one that turned up against Brighton 3-0?
I think we can cope with either Burnley team, but the best Burnley team that maybe I could kind of touch on, that Burnley team is, to be honest, a Burnley team that is kind of looking around, and to a degree, Dave, is going to have to go into kind of that relegation battle survival mode. And we've seen Sean Dyche do it time and time again, where somehow he's able to kind of slither his way out of, the relegation sort of battles. And I think this is probably one of those kind of few weeks, or maybe this kind of month, Dave, where Sean Dyche could see it as, a great opportunity to maybe get points against bigger teams that maybe the other teams in maybe the relegation fight probably wouldn't. I think Sean Dyche always kind of backs himself to do that. I mean, he's had decent displays against Man United. We saw him take points away from Arsenal as well, Dave. We saw him almost take a point away from Liverpool. I mean, it's kind of that Sean Dyche, I feel like, kind of survival mode right now. And that could mean that we might be getting one of the better Burnleys right now. Wout Weghorst, the big, human giraffe, the big human donkey, looks honestly pretty incredible so far. He seems to really be kind of given a new lease of life by the looks of it, because I think at Wolfsburg, Dave, he was really unsettled there, just wanted to move in the summer, didn't get it. And then it's kind of just been kind of moping around in the Bundesliga. And now he's gotten that move. And I think he's just it's almost like he's had bottled up energy or something like that. It feels like, coming into the Prem. So I am a bit worried about that. Maxwell Cornet now coming back, Dave, who has looked immense for them alongside Chris Wood. I wouldn't even imagine then what he looks like, alongside Weghorst. So I'd like to think, Dave, we're getting the better Burnley. Will that better Burnley cause Spurs problems? It easily could, but I feel like if we go again, maybe with something like that 3-4-3 with a really star-studded kind of sort of front three, I'd like to think that Burnley team will really struggle to that. I don't see them really pressuring us very much, so maybe this could be an interesting test where the boys won't be under too much mental pressure, more kind of having to think about creative sort of patterns and things like that. But I don't know, Dave, to answer the question, I think we are going to be getting the toughest Burnley probably today.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because it's Sean Dyche, survival mode. He's going into the bunker right now.
Yeah, look, it's not going to be one of them easy ones. Plus, it's away. It's up in a cold place. You know what I mean? It's nighttime. Your energy's got to be right going out there. If you're going out there with any sort of, I don't really want to be here, you will get turned over for sure. Rockstar90 is a new YouTube member. Big up, Rockstar90, and I hope to see you every Monday for the fan show. It kicks off at 9:30 p.m. every Monday, my man.
He loves the Manscaped ads, Dave, and he loves Black Hero Talk. He loves them both. He loves both.
Big up, Rockstar. Big up, what a legend. Shawnee, can Tottenham follow up a huge win over Man City and back it up with a win tonight versus Burnley and put to doubt the speculation about our mentality when the pressure is on us?
Yeah, look, I think that I'm not sure if you mentioned this stat at the start, but I saw it last night that Burnley, whilst they've only scored like 21 goals or whatever, which is second lowest, they've actually only conceded 10 goals at home this season. Did you mention? I'm not sure if you did mention it.
I didn't mention that. No.
And it's a ridiculously good defensive record at home for a team. It's the best in the bottom half of the table, and it comes from the team sitting in 19th. So, I don't think we should underestimate how difficult and stubborn they're going to be, allowing us to get the ball in the back of the net. And I honestly think that it is as equally a tougher test tonight because it's a completely different mindset. It's a different mindset. It's a completely different shift in focus. To Jack's point, we have to focus more on creative mechanisms and tactics rather than just sitting back and holding fort and then leaving the responsibility to the front three. Because if we just leave it for the front three, then I think that Burnley can crowd them out. So I do think it's, we can overcome it. We will be able, hopefully we're going to be able to overcome it, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think we need to get a goal in the first half. If we get a goal early by hook or by crook, then it's obviously going to allow for maybe the floodgates to open as they're going to have to shift in their strategy. But the longer it goes on without us scoring, the more frustrated, we're probably going to become and the more dogged and determined they will stay.
Yeah.
But we're the kings of scoring in the 90th minute, Sean.
Yeah, I know. But I'd rather score the fourth goal in the 90th minute, not the first. But for me, I think everything, and to your question directly, how do we bury this kind of mentality issue? Well, that starts by them recognizing today that it's a different mentality that's required today. And I hope that Conte is going to, do his work. He has done his work in the last 2 or 3 days. We haven't had long to prepare, but hopefully, the team will recognise how important this game is, and we should get the business done. But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, spot on. And Adam, do you believe that Tottenham have turned a corner with our 3-2 victory over City at the Etihad?
To be honest, or you can't.
It depend on tonight?
It will depend on tonight because with one single result doesn't give us any sense of direction. You need 2 points to make a line, so you literally only got that one thing to go from. So I think tonight we'll have a better idea, a better sense of whether or not we're this. The run that I'm hoping for and talking about is going to begin. But it definitely will. It will require a victory tonight for us to be sure that we're on that particular trajectory. But the only thing that we can take from the City game is the fact that we know how to beat the best team in the league, potentially the world, according to some people, and it'll give us the momentum that we need. That's the most perfect jumping platform. Yeah, we couldn't have asked for better than that.
Absolutely. Spot on. Adam, we may get you on more, lad. You're absolutely blowing this away, my man. Jacko, Tottenham, we did beat Burnley, of course, 1-0 away from home in the EFL Cup in October. When we were in bad form, when we were not creating any chances at all under the stewardship of Nuno. But with a much stronger lineup going into this sort of game, do you expect the margin of victory maybe to be a bit greater than what it was last time around?
Yeah, that's kind of what's been on my mind, Dave, is, while I was kind of complimenting Burnley for maybe this Burnley being a lot better, or maybe us getting the best version of themselves, I kind of am still more confident, because of that Nuno sort of performance. That Nuno performance was not pretty, but you really do think about it, Dave, as much as it probably was one of the worst games of the season, at least for, you probably would say any neutral watching that game easily turned it off at one stage because it was just absolute dross on the pitch. But you do kind of look at it, Dave, there were still plenty of moments when we had, really excellent opportunities and we were just being incredibly wasteful with it. There was that one moment I remember with Gio Lo Celso, Dave, where he went for that outside the foot finish and just absolutely made nothing of it. Harry Kane at one point, Dave, in the very beginning of the day, Harry Kane at one point in the very beginning of the game missed a really good chance and just wasn't himself. I believe there was one other player as well that might have missed a good opportunity. And then eventually, we just nodded one home with Lucas, at kind of a comfortable stage in the game. I think what was it, 70th minute or kind of something like that. So when you do think about that, maybe that was a bad stage for Burnley as well, Dave. That was a bad stage for us, but that was also a bad stage for Burnley. I do recall. I don't really think that Burnley have really changed too much at the end of the day. I do know that their additions of Cornet and Weghorst have made them a lot scarier going forward, but I still feel like it's going to be, to a degree, a very similar Burnley. And if we beat them under Nuno and still created chances under Nuno, I couldn't even imagine with this rejuvenated team under Conte.
Oh,
Here,
stop.
here.
You get me pumped up.
Taking
I
your job
told
today,
you.
Dave. Taking your job today. Couldn't believe it. I don't know what I had for breakfast today. Something's in the coffee.
We're going to have to ring the NYPD on you, Jacko, for sure. Shawnee, Spurs 72, he says, this is what Antonio Conte was talking about. Clubs around us and below us, we must win.
Yeah.
After tonight, they will have conceded 12 goals at home, Sean. Come on.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope more than that. I hope we can put 3 or 4 past them. You know, it's a great point, Spurs 72. This is exactly what he's talking about. You know, how do we get, you know, it's one thing to lift yourself for the big games. It's another thing to lift yourself for the games after the big game when you're coming down off that high. You get a hangover from wins like you do from going out, right? And to lift yourself for the next game is not always easy. Although I think now with the squad that we have and some of the players that we have, you know, I've mentioned before that we didn't have that many players within the squad with, you know, at least in the outfield that have massive records of winning trophies. But we know that Bentancur has, even Kulusevski's won, you know, I think two cups in Italy. And I think he won the Youth Cup as well when he was, you know, only a few years ago when he was in that stage of his career. So like and I think we've got out some of the players that would be the type of players that would kind of turn their nose up to a game like today. So I think that, yeah, Spurs 72, I do think that tonight's going to be, yeah, to your point, right? Antonio Conte's got to instill that thing and say, don't just turn up for Man City, turn up for Burnley, and let's hope it's not just 12, let's hope it's 14, and get the 4th goal in the 90th minute, to Adam's point.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big up Spurs 72, my man. Really appreciate the support, and hopefully you enjoyed Sean's answer off the back of that Spurs 72. Come on, my man. Let's go after Burnley today. Big up, brother. Really appreciate it. But Sean, we will stick to you because I want to know, you know, of course, like I said, we bet Burnley earlier on 1-0 in the season in the Cup. Is there anything we can take and maybe replicate from that win and bring into today?
You know, I don't. What was that in the Carabao Cup? Was it earlier on?
Yeah, Carabao Cup. Yeah, Lucas Moura scored. You don't. I'd say you probably don't remember it because, like Jack said, it was shit.
Yeah, I don't really. It doesn't really, you know, come to mind. But I don't want Lucas Moura to start today. You know, so if there's anything to take away that he scored the winning goal, as much as I love Lucas and I always have got a soft spot for him, I think right now we need to keep with the new formation. Kulusevski, he looks like a guy who's got, you know, the wind in his sails. He's brand new to Tottenham. I think it would be cruel to drop him after a performance like that. I can't imagine it's going to happen unless Conte's doing it for tactical reasons. But I genuinely think that we need a Kulusevski because he has got that depth pass, that he has got that ability to cross, and it gives us another option. When we just have the usual 3 up front, sometimes when teams sit back, it can be frustrating to break them down. So if there's anything to take away from it, the victory would be to take away from it. But I don't want to see Lucas Moura's name on the winning goal line, the goal sheet today, because I don't want him to start. I want to see Kulusevski's name on the list instead.
No, I love that. Adam, you know, against Man City, we were 1-0 up after 4 minutes to everyone's surprise. Do you think we can bring that same fight and that fast direct start into this game? And do you think that we will be actually looking to execute that today purely because of Harry Kane's injury coming into this game, the knock he has, and the fact that we might be actually looking to get the game done or kill it early so that we can get him off the pitch?
I think it's true for that reason, and it's true for the reason that Sean said that it's, you know, this team is not one that concedes too often. So getting the goal early will be essential to make sure that we know that it can be done. They'll know that it can be done. They'll know that we're dangerous. And so we don't want them. We want to shatter their confidence as quickly as possible. Their confidence is entirely predicated on the fact that they have a really good defensive record. So if we can we will knock the wind out of their sails if we put a goal in the back of the net really early. And considering if we can do it against a team like Man City, if we can do it against a team that's going to have, you know, the lion's share of possession and then some, you know, there's no reason why we can't go up against the Burnley side and be like, right, we're gonna use. I mean, the things that they're practicing on the training pitch day after day after day. You know, they're saying that they're executing it exactly the way Conte wants it done. That goal, you know, I mean, I'm sure Son on the break, you were half thinking that Son was going to put that away himself, but he was so generous passing it off to Kulu. You know, like these guys, I think, aside from the fact that they're getting more physically fit, they're getting more physically capable, they're also they're being given this technical nous. They're being told to look up. Sonny is always, even on the training pitch, he's doing his, you know, the passes, and he's constantly doing this little flick with his head just to make sure he was around them. These guys are really, really laser focused, and I think that if they do maintain They go with the training that they've had under Conte. They go with the morale coming from the Man City game, and they go with the mindset that they do need to smash it out of the park early. I think that it's entirely possible we'll see an early goal.
Laser focused, absolutely.
Love
I
that.
completely agree. Some of them do look wired. Bob Spur TV is in the house, Dave, saying Man Shitty win will mean absolutely nothing if we don't win tonight. Let's take the same mentality, fighting spirit, and mindset to Turf Moor and get the 3 points. 2-0 win tonight. Kane on the double. Absolutely inspiring.
I thought Bob Spur always went for a 4-1.
No, I mean he's given his tactical answer. I think he's given his tactical answer. You know, he realizes the circumstances. Turf Moor isn't easy, especially away from home, and this sort of circumstances. Going against a tougher Burnley. I actually think this is the perfect sort of prediction here with that 2-0 win. Yeah. Very.
Can you imagine the news reports tomorrow if Burnley are nearly never conceding and then we put 4 past them in the one game?
I like where Bob's head is at, though. I like where Bob's head is at, and Bob completely agree. And Dave, he's flying every day, and he's coming back every single day, stronger and stronger. And it's good to see you in here, Bobby.
No, it's good to see him,
Bob. Love to see.
It's good to see that what he's gone through, he still hasn't lost the humour. What I will say though, it was probably the right time to go through something like that, Bob, if you're ever going to go through something, because you did miss a lot of crap games. So, I would say in the end, Bob, but you're back out now for the good times, and look, Bob, it is good to see you, and hurry up and get back to the YouTube, my man. But big yourself up and keep up with that recovery. I know you have a lot of good people around you, so you're blessed like that, Bob. Who did I throw the last question to? Adam. So, Jack. Okay, yeah. Tottenham will be desperate to prove that our success over Man City was not fluke. Can we put in another performance like that again tonight? Or should we be worried about complacency kicking in?
I think we should be worried about the fact that this sort of game is entirely different from the last game. It's just, there are really no similarities, I would say, whatsoever, to be honest, Dave. I guess maybe the only similarity is that they're both away from home, but a sincerely different crowd, Dave, a very different crowd to be coming up against than the empty hat crowd. A very different stadium, very different conditions, very different style of football that we're coming up against. Very different team that we're coming up against, a team with not as much pedigree. We're no longer kind of the underdog. We're now supposed to be the ones expected to win. So we always know that we do sometimes struggle with that, Dave. I think that's what kind of worries me the most, is this is an entirely different occasion, an entirely different setting. And will the boys be able to make that sort of adjustment that quickly? Because, of course, you could try to take the same sort of mentality from City into this game. I'm not sure how far that can really take you, because I do feel like we were touching on earlier, I think Sean and I were, it's not exactly as much about how much are you really able to, sit in and be able to be, like maybe Adam was saying, laser focused in terms of not switching off and being kind of, sound as an 11. This one's really just more, how can you break down a team? How can you use your actual skill, your actual quality, your actual ability, to hurt teams? And that's what I'm a bit worried about, Dave. Will they be able to do that? Because Burnley, they're going to want us to take the game to them. And I think that's what's scary. And even Sean touched on it earlier. I know I'm piggybacking on his points, but earlier, I feel like, you were saying, Sean, Burnley gets stronger and stronger each passing 10 minutes that a goal doesn't go in their net. The game goes kind of more in their favor, you would say. And so if we don't grab that early goal, like we were touching on in the beginning, it just means we're playing against a Burnley in a better sort of position. So I think that's all it depends on, Dave. Will they be able to, break down a Burnley that quickly, get a nice early goal, and kind of take the game to them? It's hard to know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, we definitely need to kind of replicate that fast start if we can. I know it's two complete different teams, and that, City left the space, Burnley didn't, but just put one good ball in the box and let the big man himself go and knock one in. It's all sorted. But Sean, each of our past 3 league wins have come courtesy of 90-minute goals. This show there's a shift in mentality at this club.
Well, certainly under Jose Mourinho, there was the opposite was true. We go 1-0 up and we'd sit back and hang on and hang on and hang on. And then inevitably, most of the time, at least in the second half of the season, we gave the game away in the late stages, right?
It was so funny. After a while, we started saying we don't want to score in the first half.
100%. We were better off if we were 0-0 the whole way, and then we could snatch a win. But yeah, so I think that there's definitely, there's definitely a growing emergence that Tottenham are always in the game until the 98th minute. right? Or however long the last minute is, we're still in the game. And I think that we don't Manchester City, when we went down during injury time, we equalised, they equalised during injury time. We could have sat back then and gone, fuck, just hold on for the point. But we went again. And that, I think, is a sign of someone there's a shift in mentality.
Spot on.
So I think that there is something that's emerging out of Conte. He's had 3 months with us now. I think every week that he stays, and hopefully he stays for a long time. But I think that as long as there's not any kind of hiccups or hurdles that we stumble into tonight or against Leeds, if we can build, I think that the more and more time that he has going into the end of the season is going to be great. And then next season, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with once he gets a full summer to kind of implement with any kind of squad changes. But there's definitely something that's brewing, whether it's Paratici that's cooking, whether it's Conte that's brewing. There's a lot of things happening in the kitchen at Tottenham, and it's all looking quite positive at the moment. So yeah, and doggedness and last minute attention spans is part of that puzzle for sure.
No, it definitely is, and it's probably something a bit more we might touch on tomorrow in an out cheeky Kaniki answer me. A bit go into a bit more depth in that. What exactly does it bring? Because there's a lot you can answer on that. With given more time, so that is definitely something that we're going to be bringing into the Kaniki answer me tomorrow for sure. Everybody, there is 293 in house already. I don't know why half yous aren't working, but make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button as well, guys. Adam, we have lost 8 times this season, 4 at home, 4 away, but they have all been in London. We are actually unbeaten away from home outside of London. What is it about London that we are just not performing in our own patch?
That's a difficult one. To be honest, I mean, that's a hard one to suss out. I mean, is it? I don't know, man. Like, is it the traveling that has having some sort of rejuvenating effect on people as they're heading out on the bus? Is it the crack they're having on the bus before they get into the stadiums outside of London? Who knows? That's a peculiar one. Is it the quality of the teams that we're playing in London? Because I know like the biggest issues that we've had is obviously we've played Chelsea 3 times this season and absolutely gotten our asses handed to us, and that's obviously disheartening. Going to Arsenal, obviously we normally make fools of them whenever they come to our place, but going to them, can be quite difficult, and we lost against them earlier on this season. So it may be just the quality of the teams. We are up against generally a more intense opposition in London, but I don't know if that's the answer though. It's a difficult one to really comprehend, to be honest.
No, look, it's definitely a part of the answer for sure. To be fair, Adam, that's actually a good take on it. So it is. Something that I wasn't thinking about yesterday. I was thinking more along the lines maybe is mentality, pressure, but you definitely do raise a good point there. To be fair,
you got to look at teams as well, like Crystal Palace, who are kind of having a bit of a renaissance to a certain extent. With the likes of is it Conor Gallagher? I can never remember what his first name is.
Yeah,
Conor Gallagher, right?
Yeah.
He's been playing a stormer. So even there are certain teams that are performing above their station. So
No, spot on, absolutely spot on. And before we start going through Hugo Lloris and stuff like that, I have one more question for Jacko here. Tottenham lost 2 encounters against sides they would have defeated prior to this. We should have defeated prior to the City result. They're like, what do we need to do differently today, Jack, that we maybe didn't do versus Southampton and Wolves?
Yeah, Dave, this is kind of what I've been thinking about. We earlier were kind of saying, like, does the City sort of, win, carry the boys into these sort of, games, we're kind of back into it. Now we have a fighting chance. Just the whole time, you kind of think of the repercussions of losing those 2 games, Dave. Like if we had even, let's say we had lost just one of those games, Dave, we would be in a very different position than we are now. Like even just, let's say we just lost to Southampton, but then, maybe handled Wolves, we'd be in an entirely different position. And I think that's sometimes what we have to really come to grips with, is that really did, cause considerable harm, to our chances, of climbing up the table, cause considerable harm, for maybe the rest of the future. And I think we're going to be kind of paying the repercussions for it here, Dave. And hopefully the boys realize that just last week, they came up in a similar situation with Southampton and Wolves, and they weren't able to do the job. And now and probably you might even say a tougher situation, maybe going away to Burnley than maybe those games were at home. I don't know, Dave. It's a difficult situation, and hopefully they at least realize that what they did last week, Dave, was irreparable and maybe they'll just have to know that, you know, they just have to kind of plow on for the rest of the season in hopes that maybe that doesn't come to bite them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I'm not kidding. I think it's significant repercussions that, you know, you can never really get back. And like I said, you know, again, if we had even just won one of those games, we would not be in the position that we are now. It's kind of considerable. Yeah,
100% correct there, Jack. On Kaguma with the super sticker here.
Let me just take a look at it. Scrolling to the bottom here, Dave. Apologies. It's just not Dave. It's the classic one. It's if I always get it wrong between the fox and the cat, Dave. But it's the fox with the hearts. Normally, I kind of like this one for Leicester. You know, kind of Goguma. You know, you kind of just show the fox a bit of mercy before you go fox hunting before the game. You know, but Dave, I will say Goguma. It's good to have her back. I haven't seen her in the chat in a while. It's
great to have her back.
Goguma.
No, absolute it is. Legend. Big up, Goguma. I hope you are keeping very well. No, look, it is a good job that she didn't pick the cat because, you know, Kurt Zuma could be having withdrawal symptoms from his being taken away, so he could be on the prowl for something. You don't want to be enticing him, you know, but big up, Kaguma. Really appreciate it. And it's I'm going to nickname that one "Who Let the Hounds Out." Conte did. Really appreciate the support. What an absolute gem. What an absolute gem. But look, we'll start going through some of the positions and the players now. Shawnee, Hugo Lloris has made 3 very costly mistakes in our last game. Should we start to be concerned by Hugo's recent performances?
No, look, I mean, like yes and no. I think that Hugo Lloris he's always been one of our most reliable players, right? And we certainly haven't got an option B. So there's no reason to think that his dip in form, and he's had dips in form in the past, and they haven't lasted long. And he's certainly been, he's been far more capable of pulling out worldies that he shouldn't be saving than he is susceptible to making mistakes that he should be. But at the same time, 3 in 2 games, and I think maybe that does ebb away, whatever the phrase is, at your confidence a little bit. I'm not sure what the word is there. It kind of does ebb away at the confidence a little bit. But then I think after that mistake against Man City where he could have covered the ball, it was definitely a tricky one. It wasn't quite as bad as the Wolves mistakes. It was a tricky one. It was bouncing right in his feet. So, but then he pulled out the worldie, the save from the German fella that Gerdigan or whatever his name is, so that he. Definitely, I think that would have been the last save that he really made that was in his mind, and it was a worldie. So I don't think you can be too worried about it. Certainly, at the same time, though, you're gonna have these things, and mistakes by goalkeepers are far more costly than mistakes by midfielders or mistakes by. So, and they're also far more memorable. They've got nowhere to hide. So, but listen, Hugo Lloris. The only thing I would say about Hugo Lloris is I don't think this is the case, but it's interesting that as soon as he signed the new contract, suddenly. The form has dipped a little bit. I don't know if maybe there's anything to do with that kind of peace of mind, that like maybe there's a drop in, how Emmanuel Adebayor used to work really hard and then suddenly get the contract and then put his feet up a little bit. I don't think you can argue the same about Hugo Lloris, but it is just coincidental maybe, or maybe it's not coincidental that there is that drop just after the new contract signed. We can't do anything about it anyway. Certainly don't want Galini in, certainly don't want any of the kids in. So we just got to hope that whatever it is, it's temporary. And then he's not going to make any more howlers before the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I hope not, because we definitely need him to be on his best game between now and the end of the season. But
they seem to happen in the beginning of games, which is kind of interesting. So, like right in the first half. So I guess if there's no howler in the first half, maybe we can rest a bit easier, knowing that hopefully it doesn't happen in the second half. But every single mistake has happened in the first half.
That's a good point, Jack.
Yeah,
that is a good point. Adam. Could Hugo Lloris be getting past his best and maybe on the decline from the peak of his powers? So do you think he's just going through a mini spell of bad form?
The mad thing about Lloris is sometimes you can go from game to game and have a completely different opinion on Lloris, and then sometimes in the exact same game you can switch opinions on Lloris. It's the weirdest thing. There are like him consistently lately, kind of palming out the ball and just volleying, kind of with his like he's playing volleyball. Yeah. I don't understand why he's not getting his hands. Well, he's actually not getting to grips with the thing, more consistently. And then there are times where he'll pull off saves that that there's scarcely a keeper in the Premier League who is able to do what that man can do. He'll swap from howlers to stormers from game to game, and then in some games he's doing both of them. And it's like he's such a difficult one to really kind of to to pin down how you're supposed to feel about him, or is there a right or wrong way to feel about him. The only thing the only thing I can say is echoing the notion that with keepers, if they do everything right, they go unnoticed, generally speaking. But as soon as they mess up, it's like, this guy's a disgrace, get him out, blah blah blah. And what we need to remember is the Reese has gotten us out of some serious jams in the past. He's there, he is an absolute legend of the club, and he's done some tremendous things. Is it time to start phasing him out? I think we've got to be looking at a replacement. We have to be looking at a replacement. And he even he himself said in an interview that he is more than happy to work with the club to work on getting a replacement in the next 2 years, and he wants to help train his replacement as well. Do you know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, look, I'm in the final run of my career now, but am I dying to see him, to see him leave? No, the guy's been an absolute legend, and can any of us say that we wouldn't absolutely be over the moon to see him win something with Spurs? All of his time with us. You know what I mean? I would be more than happy to see him play another season and a half, if that's what it took to get silverware into that man's hands.
Also, Adam, who else apart from Liverpool keeper is obviously one of the best in the world. I know that Man City's keeper's best in the world, and the Chelsea one's great, but I don't think David De Gea is just. I want Jose
Sa. I want Jose Sa so bad, but I don't think he'll come to us because he has other London connections. I think it's Arsenal. Is it Arsenal he used to play for? There's a London club he used to play for anyway, and I think that because of that connection, he probably won't come to us. But I would love Jose Sa. Wolves is Jose Sa.
I still think that Hugo Lloris is the best of the rest, like of the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th team. The teams that we're competing with for top 4, I don't think there's anyone that you'd rather have than Hugo.
What did Conte as well say? What did Conte say in the press conference? You can get your wife wrong, but you can't get your goalkeeper and your striker wrong.
So good as well.
So I think that just speaks. I think that speaks to that speaks to Conte's confidence, certainly in Hugo Lloris. But absolutely. Adrian Chia saying the weather hasn't been kind to goalies lately. That's certainly true.
Yeah.
I'm not a goalkeeper. So I actually wouldn't. I definitely see how it definitely has an effect on them. I just don't really know like what the effect really is. Apart from it may be maybe being a bit colder, maybe not so pleasant to stand around.
If it's pouring with rain, it's slippery balls, it's soggy pitches in front of them. It's
but I see the point. If it's cold,
the ball's a bit different.
Just quickly to Mark Coyle, nobody is asking for Hugo to come out of the team. Trust me.
No.
Nobody. I'm just asking the question. That's all we're doing. Nobody has said they want him out of the team.
Big up Adrian Chia, though. I definitely see. That's a good point. Really good point there. And then Gogama saying, Sonny goal, let's go.
Yeah, baby.
Go. Big up Gogama. Absolutely love it. Last time Gogama, though, we got like the number 10 Sonny. We got like, the Sonny, the creative Sonny. It's almost like Harry Kane and Sonny switched roles last time Gogama, which was really beautiful to see. So maybe we'll get more of the same, or maybe we'll get back to, Sonny being the assassin, up front. But big yourself up, Gogama.
Big up, Gogam. I really appreciate the support. Over 300 in-house. Everybody keep smashing that like button and that subscribe button if you are new. And do feel free to get your super chats in, talking points. We'll have a good discussion on it. And it is a great way to help support the channel. And like as always, we try to include everybody. Just know that even if you're not in a position, just get your comments in the chat. And we will bring them up on screen as we go along. But Jack, sorry to probably throw this first one on you, but a lot of people are predicting Doherty to come in for Emerson because he came off injured versus Man City. Are you concerned about the drop-off in defensive abilities and Doherty being dribble parts, which is probably his main weakness?
Against a team like Burnley, Dave, maybe not so much, actually. Maybe not so much, especially because I would say the wings are maybe where they really lack probably the most sort of skill. And, it's not really where Burnley exactly progress up the pitch very much. Of course, that we all know they're kind of, the big long ball, sort of kind of route one sort of style of team. I guess he'd be coming up against Dwight McNeil, Dave, who I would say is definitely their best winger, and certainly is a tricky customer, I must say, actually, Dwight McNeil, because what actually makes him difficult, Dave, is he can actually beat you outside, and then what he does, he just puts a really good ball into the box, into probably the big man Weghorst. So even Emerson, I feel like, could probably struggle against someone like Dwight McNeil because he is kind of a bit of a tricky player. I actually do kind of rate him, despite him being maybe a bit under the radar and maybe not so maybe well noticed. I feel like he is actually a decent player, and potentially Dave Doherty, I feel like this is the best sort of game for him. This is a team that will kind of sit back. This is a team that, might not put so much pressure out on the wings. We have said before, Dave, that maybe when the team when it's not so necessary to go up and down the pitch as much, it's not such an end-to-end game, Doherty probably could do better with that, because he can maybe find the passes and find a bit of composure that maybe Emerson just doesn't. He could also make the runs. At least I always feel like Doherty makes clever runs that maybe Emerson doesn't. Emerson makes more runs than Doherty does, but I feel like Doherty makes much more clever runs, Dave. So I feel like Doherty, this is actually a good game for him. And to be fair, Dave, I wouldn't really expect myself saying that out loud. So I feel like this is a much better game for Doherty. I'm
glad you did, because it leads me perfectly into the next one for Shawnee. So good answer, Jacob. Sean, with Burnley sitting deep, we will see plenty of the ball. Is this the right game to rest Emerson? As many said, Doherty's better going forward and a better crosser on the ball, and that Doherty might actually have more of an effect on today's game maybe than what Emerson would.
Yeah, well, the one thing we know about Emerson, I'm with Jack on this. I don't think that it's very rare you're going to find me, siding with Doherty over Emerson in many situations. But the one thing that I do think is true about Emerson, and we spoke about it on this show, countless times, is when he goes forward. Obviously, we know about his final ball problems, but he is better when he has space to run into. He's better when he's got the ball in front of him and the team are backtracking. He's got and he can gallop down there like a like a thoroughbred horse. And the ball that comes in inevitably is poor anyway, but he does have more ability to do that than Doherty does. But I think today you're going to see Burnley sit back. And one thing that we know where he's at his weakest is when he's got the ball in an offensive position, but the
with
Burnley
right in front of him,
got someone right in front of him, and the Burnley or whoever left wing back or left back is standing there and they're kind of shadowing him. Right, he doesn't know what to do in that situation, and it's pick your poison a little bit. I think on that basis alone, that Doherty probably is slightly better than Emerson. He's not miles better, but Emerson's at his weakest when he's got someone in front of him, and so I think that's going to be more par for the course this evening. And so I think that if there is a game where you pick Doherty, it's probably today.
Interesting answer, lads. Interesting answers. You got to be careful you don't get labelled as a Doherty fan out here.
Julian Gabbins, where is he? He should be loving this. This is all music to his
this is all for Killian. The one time we speak about Doherty and the guy's not here. Come on, Killian. Adam, there was a video circulating of Doherty making a block versus Man City and celebrating. Does it now look like Doherty may actually be on board at Tottenham and Conte's plan and way of playing? And should we perhaps be giving Doherty another chance?
I think that what it really comes down to is tactics. I'm considering what we have on the bench. We've talked before about what things that we can do in the future. Decisions that have to be made during the summer. I still think we need someone who's more fit for purpose for Conte's plans. But as far as what we have now, it's absolutely there's no two ways about it. We played a 5-4-1 against Man City, and Emerson was exactly the right person to play in that back five, because he is much stronger defensively. He's got more power. He's able to stand up an awful lot more, whereas Doherty is the one who's able to provide an awful lot more for the attack. And considering that in this game we need to we want again, we were talking about breaking Burnley down early. I think Doherty has shown in the last few games that he's played, not only that, we've always known that when he played for Wolves, he was more involved in the attack than anything. He wasn't really played as a defensive player. He was played as an attacking player, chipped in with so many goals for Wolves. I think that this is the kind of game where we, if he wants to work his way back into the team more permanently, this is the game that to show off what, to finally show us what we've been waiting to see from him. But also, even if he just continues the way he has in the last number of games, he is running amok a little bit. He's causing up problems. He's causing distractions at the very least. So I mean, we know even like the most obvious one was in the game against Leicester, where Bergwijn scored his two incredible last minute goals. Doherty was doing so much. He's punishing Leicester at the back. Keep making them work, making them slip up. If we can see him do something like that against Burnley, then he's fulfilling his role as far as I'm concerned. So I'd be happy to see that from him again. Even if we never see the Wolves Doherty, if we can see that at least for the moment and for the rest of the season, I'd play him in the games where we really want to break down the defense of the opposition.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, spot on, spot on. Emily Dunn says, great stream, lads. Appreciate all the work you do on and off the screen. Congrats on 1K, Jack. Come on, you Harris Army. Emily, look, really do appreciate it. Yeah, look, to be fair, we do actually do a lot. I do a lot of preparation off screen to make what happens on screen work. So I'm glad that you noticed that and you appreciate it. I really do appreciate the support as well. And congrats to you, Jack.
Thank you very much, Emily. Big up, Emily. Really appreciate it.
When did it happen, Jack? Was it last night you got there, did you?
It happened last night, yeah. Well,
congratulations.
We were doing a lot of it was kind of difficult because I was a little stressed out because we were trying to figure out how to do the new watch along kind of, thing with OBS and whatnot. So it's kind of tough, figuring all that out. And then I knew it was going to happen that day. And I think it happened like right in the middle of the watch along. So it was
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah,
Perfect.
sure,
Right onto Google. Monetization! Monetization!
Thank you very much, though. Thank you very much, Emily. Pick yourself up. Appreciate it, Sean.
Yeah, so Jack, this one's for you. Yeah, to you.
Give it to me, yeah.
Reguilón was the player out with COVID and did not train on Monday, so was expected not to start. And his attack abilities will be missed today. Can Sessegnon step up and answer his critics who have cast doubt over his attacking abilities?
I don't know if I've been one of those critics towards his attacking abilities, Dave, but I have maybe pointed it out lots of times in watch-alongs where I have been maybe a bit disappointed by what he's maybe offered going forward. It seems like I don't know if it's like an elephant in the room sort of situation, but it seems like something that's not really brought up very much, maybe because, we are perhaps a bit worried that he hasn't looked so great going forward this season. Even Dave, in the beginning of the season, Pachos de Ferreira, when he was out there, he looked really clunky. I feel like against Man City still looked kind of clunky at times going forward. We originally bought him because he was supposed to be great going forward for Fulham and not so, maybe decent defensively, but that was more what we got him for. And I would say now he's kind of looking really solid defensively. He's actually almost looking better than Reguilón defensively, but perhaps not as good going forward. So yeah, Dave, absolutely right. Maybe this is a great opportunity for him to prove a bit of the doubters wrong, or at least, a few of the people that perhaps have lost a bit of the faith in his attacking abilities. Kind of like I have, to be honest. I kind of have. I just haven't been too impressed with him going forward this season. I've been really impressed with him defensively. In fact, you could even make the claim that he is, in fact, even looking better than Reguilón has this year defensively. But going forward, I would say he hasn't offered very much. And I'd like to see him do that, Dave, certainly. I'd like to see him maybe prove us wrong. But all I will say is that he sometimes just looks a bit clunky for me, I would say, going forward. That's all I can say.
Yeah, spot on. And Sean, you kind of asked me this one yesterday, so I'm going to throw it back at you. How far can Sessegnon really push Reguilón for his starting spot? Because to be fair, he played against the two top teams in the country, Liverpool and Man City, and was absolutely outstanding defensively.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to have to answer the same way that you did yesterday, because you won't find a better answer than that. Exactly. I think that the Sessegnon debate, listen, I think he is someone that, look, he's definitely lacks confidence going forward. Even against Manchester City, he did give the ball away a little bit. He reminds me a little bit, of sort of Doherty on the right, but he's far more talented. He's young, he's youthful, he's got pace. But you know what? When you give him a task to do, he does it, right? And the 2 or 3 times we've asked him to do a task this season, with the exception of the Wolves game where he was substituted in 25 minutes, so who knows what would have happened in the next 65 minutes. But he wasn't substituted because he was poor. He was substituted because of a tactical formation, and Conte said that. I just think when you give Sessegnon a job to do against Liverpool and against Chelsea, that job is to defend like a beaver and put someone in your pocket. And he's done that twice. And and on that basis, I don't know whether you use him as your defensive rear guard when you're putting a flat back 5, right? Which is what we did against Liverpool, which is what we did against Manchester City. I don't know why, for example, Sessegnon wasn't played in the Chelsea game when Matt Doherty was played at inverted left back. It was weird to do it that way. But I think Sessegnon certainly has all of the capabilities with the concentration. He's got all of the competencies with defensively, and he's not afraid to handle the opponent's biggest threat. Is he as good as Reguilón going forward? No. Is Reguilón the finished article going forward? Either no. But I think what Reguilon offers is an engine and a stamina and a tank that can just go up and down. And he does have a good relationship. He does have a good working relationship with Sonny, which I don't know how Sessegnon and Sonny's relationship going forward. I don't know if that's built out yet. So is he good enough to go on a long run? Probably not. Like at the moment, probably not. Like when we're playing against Burnley, if Reggie was fit today, I don't know if he is or he's not, but if he is fit, I'd imagine because we're going to have more possession, I'd imagine Reggie gets his spot back. I'd imagine against Leeds, you probably want Reggie as well to come back in because Leeds are going to play a poor man's version of Man City where they just throw everything, go gung-ho, and that's going to leave lots of options in the spaces behind. And so I don't think you necessarily need Sessegnon for that, but there's horses for courses. There's a time and a place for Sessegnon, and he's definitely a valued member of the squad. But I think at the moment, we'd rather have Reguilon still as the number one choice unless we're playing against a team that has got ultimate offensive capabilities in down their right-hand side. And in that scenario, if you're terrified of that option, then you put Sessegnon in to kind of curtail and suffocate that player. That's how I feel about him.
Sean, I mean, Bielsa just fell out of his stool, after he took that shot at Leeds there, I must say. I mean, he really has.
Well, he plays like he plays like as if to say, "Oh, don't worry about the opposition. We're going to play our game." And unfortunately, he hasn't got the talent to the same level
He's
of
just
Chelsea.
sitting there in that position where he's just sitting there, just rubbing his eyebrows up.
Why did he say this about me?
No, 100%. I kind of agree with you there, Sean. If it is a player that you do want to curtail, you probably throw in Sessegnon. But if it is a side where you recognize there's a weakness down there, it's definitely got to be Reguilon for sure. I absolutely love that. Adam, the 3-2 win over City did mark the third Premier League away game in a row that Tottenham have conceded 2 goals. What are we doing wrong at the back that needs to be fixed?
Well, I think we fixed what was wrong at the back. The only thing about the last game was that we were playing against Manchester City. They're always going to score goals. We were just, we outperformed and we were able to get one more goal than they did. But we were always going to end up conceding to a team that's as prolific as they are. But we fixed the issue in the sense that we've got Eric Dyer back playing as the as the leader in the back three. I think we really, really struggle when he's not playing, which is I think we've all said this. It's a mad thing to have to say that Dyer coming back into the team is the saving grace because we all wanted him out of the team before the summer. But the fact is, you need a leader in the back line, especially when you're playing with the 3. And so Romero, I don't quite know what his English is like. But I also think that at the moment he's incredibly not good. So he's still incredibly young, and he's not in the position as yet to be a leader. I think he just needs to do what he does perfectly, and he bloody does. That guy is outstanding. He's easily our best centre back. But can he be the leader in the back 3? No. Can Dyer? Yes. We know that Dyer speaks so many languages, so he's able to sort everything out in multilingually, and he's able to get the players into the shape they need to be in. He's incredibly commanding. Sometimes to a fault, because I've seen him blame players for things that was clearly his mistake. But we let him away with it. Considering that we perform better when he's in the team at the moment. So I think as long as Dyer's back in, his injury is no longer a concern, and he's back. He's in the team for the rest of the season. I think that we have sorted the problem out because he will make sure that things get done at the back the way they need to get done. He's the only one who can.
Spot on. Benedict Hampus says, long time no speak, lads. 1-0 Spurs tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Benedict, where have you been, my man? Where have you been? I hope you've been looking after yourself. I do hope you have been okay. It is good to welcome you back in here as well. He has one of the best name, I think. I love it, Benedict Hampus. I do love it. And look, he's going for the win. Absolutely love it, Benedict. It is great to see you, my man. Pick yourself up. And Gaguma says, I really love Bentancur. Do you think he will play?
He better.
I will ask the panel there in just a couple of minutes on that. Me, personally, look, Conte did say he was going to rest players. Now, Højbjerg did not play against Wolves. Bentancur has played against Wolves and City. And on that process, I fear it could be him that may be rested today with Winks coming in. But look, we'll wait and see. We will wait and see. Could just rest Højbjerg again and keep Bentancur out there and put Winks and Højbjerg out there because he thinks he's going to have a lot more of the ball. So, Gaguma, look, I think he needs to start. If we want to win tonight, I believe he has to play for sure, Gaguma, for sure. Big yourself up, Gaguma. Jack. Oh, sorry, Sean. Sorry, who was going to speak there?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask: is there any noise on how much longer Skippy's going to take before he's ready? Because if it's like another week or 2 weeks, then you might need to drop, Højbjerg to rest him or Bent or whatever. You might need to make a change, right? Because we've got 3 games coming thick and fast. But if Skippy's just around the corner, then maybe you can, once Skippy's back, you can bring Winks in. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's this debate, like, which one is Winks better for? Is he better for this match or is he better for the Leeds one? I think he's perfectly better for this match, to be honest. Like, I think Leeds is like, to be honest, I completely would disagree with anybody that would say he's better for Leeds, because Leeds will target. Leeds will, like, we saw Wolves, one of the least pressing teams in the entire league, target Winks, and all of a sudden come out of their shell and start pressing Winks at away from their own ground. So I would say Burnley is the perfect team, actually, to a degree, for Winks, because he's gonna have lots of time on the ball. He's gonna be able to turn without to a degree, Dave, kind of losing his shit. And I don't know, like, I feel like. I think this is a perfect match for Winks. I'm not saying he's going to play extraordinarily well, but I just think this is a match that's better suited for him if you were to rest one of them.
I've loads of questions on Winks.
Sorry about that.
So we will get to them. We will get to them. I think this one is to you, Jacko. Our defence looks a lot more stable with Dyer in the centre of the back three, which then allows Cuti Romero to play in his best position for me, which I consider being on the right of the back three. Where you can really see his ball playing ability really helps us. And it really did help us in the goal department versus City, having Dyer and Romero there with the ball playing ability. Because it means, why I think it's important to have centre-backs that play, that can pass a ball out from the back and be able to transfer from deadly counter-attacking teams. From the deadly counter-attacking team that we are, to be a great team that controls possession and to the way Conte likes to play. Are these two crucial for that, Jack?
I think they're kind of crucial against, to a degree, mostly any team. I mean, Dave, this is the Premier League where, either you're going to be pressed, quite intensely, or you're going to be coming up against a team that sits in really deep, organized blocks of a defense. And in that regard, Dave, if you're rocking kind of a back three of some sort, you're going to need your back three to be actually your best players on the ball. If you even look at Wolves, Dave, as an example, some of their best players on the ball in the entire team are, in fact, their center backs. There's a reason for that, because you can then be able to switch play, Dave. If you're being put under pressure, the center backs don't panic. They don't just boot it away into the stands like Sanchez would every time. They try to, hold possession. They try to, be able to be a bit calm under pressure. And let's say, our center backs are coming up against maybe a bit more of a stifling kind of pragmatic sort of side like Burnley, Dave. Maybe they can ping a pass, across the field. They can kind of, speed things up a bit. They can be able to even carry the ball and maybe be that extra person in midfield. You could see someone like Dyer maybe, carry the ball into midfield, maybe to help out, Winks and Højbjerg maybe in this scenario. I think, Dave, they're absolutely crucial, because against City, they were able to get us out of pressure. They kind of made that City press, kind of non-existent, and really made it seem actually quite easy to break down against a team like Burnley, where they won't be pressing us, but we'll have a really organized defense. You need that back three to maybe carry the ball confidently, to be able to pick out passes, maybe that other players wouldn't. And also, Dave, to even, find players kind of movement maybe in behind that maybe other players wouldn't. So the center backs in every game in the Premier League are always crucial, especially on the ball. And also just because it's the Premier League, Dave, like I said, either you're going to be pressed or you're going to be coming up against a really tough defense that's really annoying to break down. So you always need good players on the ball.
Spot on. On your bike, Scott says, Evening Standard predicted Winks from Bentancur. Yeah, look, there is a lot of that. There is a lot of that floating around today. Maybe resting Bentancur. Look, at your peril, to be honest with you. Look, we've already seen that in midfield too. Winks on Bentancur is not strong enough to be able to cope. So it'll be very interesting to see what we do pick today. I don't want Bentancur rested, though, to be honest with you, on your bike, Scott. I think he has to play if we want to take max points from this game. But, Sean, I'm going to ask you a question that can lead us into talking about the midfield. For me, against the biggest improvement on Saturday was our defence, which turned from an error-prone defence to one with confidence against the most lethal team in the country, which is a back three of Romero, Dyer and Davies. Are they good enough to keep clean sheets and get top 4? Or did they look better because they got a lot of help from Bentancur and Højbjerg?
It's a tough one, man. It's a really good question. Now, are they good enough to keep clean sheets? Yes, 100%. I think that we haven't seen much of the trio, right? We haven't seen much of Dyer with Romero, and I think when you've got Dyer back, we've spoken about how much weight I put on the ability to communicate, and you've got Romero, the best guy in the best defender in our team, back. I think that it's more than the confidence. It's more than a settled back three. You've got players that now have a little bit of space in terms of. That's what a little bit of. You've got Romero, who's so cool on the ball. You've got Bentancur just ahead, who when he gets the ball back, whoever's receiving the ball or giving the ball, both of them just slow the play. It's like they're playing in slow motion. They have time to consider what they're doing, and they find forward moving passes. Sometimes before you'd have the three, whichever three it was at the back, and they'd be so desperate to just get the ball out because they didn't want it at their feet because they were nervous about what was going to happen. They'd smash the ball out, and then the next wave comes. And when you give away too many waves, eventually you're going to find yourself in a bit of a pickle. And so I feel like, how does it work better? It works better individually. The three of them look more comfortable. Dyer settles things down, but with Romero on the right, he's creating more security on the right, which stops. It's like a fluid motion of comfort that goes across the back three. And then to bring your point in about how much effort or how much impact does it also have having Bentancur there? Like I say, I think that Bentancur, he sits back and he receives the ball, and then he knows where to pass it to. So he's not just trying to release it back to someone who's got a bit of space. He'll look and pick. And look, what happened with Manchester City. He found the ball, gave it. He could have given it to anyone. He waited for a split second, bought some time, gave it to Ben Davies. And then Ben Davies had the confidence to then slide the ball 30 yards along the floor against the Man City team into the feet of Harry Kane, which then could pivot and put that wonderful through ball through to Sonny. So I just think that it's a combined, who's responsible? Why is it responsible? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure out, but I think just generally it's just confidence that bleeds through the team, because we've got two players there now that are in key positions that are comfortable on the ball and that don't rush. And if you rush too much, you're either going to boot the ball out or you're going to pick the easy pass rather than the correct pass. And doing that in the back third leads to mistakes and to issues. So I think Bentancur and Romero alongside Dyer, it's just a breath of fresh air in terms of making the right decisions rather than the fast decisions, if that makes sense.
It's not absolutely spot on. You've absolutely nailed that, Shawnee. Honestly, you should drop that mic and walk out, but you've only bought it, so it's probably not a good idea.
Well, I've still got the warranty on it. I can take it back if it breaks out.
You just walk in, Blake. Look, sorry, I had a mic drop.
What's the dropping policy?
What are you going to do? Yeah, what's your mic drop policy?
All mics come with a mic drop warranty for sure, lad. Adam, Rodrigo, Bentancur, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg ran their socks off against City. Bentancur covered 1,374 kilometers, the most in the team, and Højbjerg 1,200. Bentancur, 2,400 kilometers by Højbjerg, and he had the third most distance covered. And both made second and third in intensive runs. Bentancur with 351 and Højbjerg with 320. How important is it that we have midfielders in there who want to work hard? And is that the main reason our two in midfield clicked against City?
I think when you're playing with a two in midfield, it's about the confidence you have with the guy standing next to you. And I don't think the players can say fully, like Højbjerg can't say fully he has confidence when he's playing next to wings, which means that he's kind of stifled to a certain extent. It's like playing with his 2 feet, tied together. It's the fact that he has someone as competent and silky smooth as Bentancur. I mean, you can see the way that he's able to take the ball and just kind of do a little trick and completely, move away from any danger. When he's able to do stuff like that, Højbjerg doesn't have to be constantly in a state of panic. He can be that box-to-box midfielder. He can move rather than be stuck in position and being stifled. So I think it just depends on, we saw before the transfer window that Højbjerg and Skip had a fantastic relationship together because he knew he could trust Skip. He can do the exact same thing with Bentancur, and I think that's why they're able to. They have that option now of if Højbjerg is sitting back, Bentancur can run forward, and if Bentancur wants to stay back and hold the play, Højbjerg can make those runs, and then Bentancur has the option to play through the middle as opposed to looking out for only looking out to the wide players. So I think it's that central midfield partnership that's essential for that. I think a lot of people are saying, and I think I mentioned this last night, Sean, on your channel, that they're saying that Bentancur and Højbjerg are going to be the new Wayama and Dembele. I don't think that it's quite that good. Let's be fair. I think that Bentancur is close to that category. He doesn't fill Dembele's shoes right now. Let's be honest, that guy was grossly underappreciated when we had him. But I do think that partnership that we have is enough to get us where we need to go for the end of the season. I think that they should trust each other. They can depend on each other, and you can't ask for much more than that.
No, absolutely, for sure. Jacko, Conte said in his pre-match press conference, I also have the possibility, if all the players are available, to make some rotation to give a bit of rest, which the players need, especially the midfielders. For example, the midfielders against Man City, Pierre and Rodrigo, they put in a fantastic performance. They ran a lot and the effort was top. We have to see if they recover very well. Otherwise, I will have to make rotation because we have many games in a row in a few days, and we have to try in every moment to find the best solution. And as I mentioned, Rodrigo, Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg did run their socks off against City. And with the game tonight and with Leeds at 12:30 Saturday, do you think Conte is going to rotate and maybe bring in Harry Winks into midfield? And who does he rest?
I think he is bringing in Harry Winks for this one. Who does he rest, Dave? This is tough because you would say with Bentancur maybe gets a rest because he probably does maybe need one, coming into the team and, maybe getting settled into the Premier League, Dave. I know he's put in absolute effort, but you would say you don't want him to maybe burn out so quickly because even just getting used to the Premier League takes a lot out of you. So perhaps, maybe too much at once isn't really, I guess too much of something at once, too much of the Premier League at once. Maybe we don't want to give him. And then with Højbjerg, Dave, we constantly talk about, the reason Højbjerg's kind of dips in form happen is because he gets played too much and ends up, being a bit exhausted as well. So the player that he comes in for, what, Adam?
It's one argument. There's a little possibility, but it is one argument.
Oh, were you saying for Højbjerg?
Yeah.
I would tread carefully, my friend. But with Winks, Dave, I think he probably comes in for Højbjerg in this one. And then this is tough, though, because Højbjerg was just rested for the Man City one, or rested for the Wolves one. He came in, so maybe he comes in for Bentancur. We have actually seen Winks play better alongside Højbjerg than he did against Bentancur, because alongside Bentancur, he looked atrocious and probably one of his worst games in a while, I would say, alongside Bentancur, where he has looked better alongside Højbjerg. I don't know, Dave. Maybe he rests Højbjerg and then Højbjerg comes on later for Bentancur. They kind of switch. That's all I can say, Dave, is at least maybe you'll see them switch for each other. They'll come on for each other in like the 60th or 70th minute. And one of them has to play more and the other just plays maybe just a little. But I definitely see Winks starting. It is tough, though, to pick which one he rests, though. It really is.
No, it definitely is. And sorry, Faz Radfar. Sorry, I did say 2,400. I meant to say 12,400 kilometers. Sorry, my man.
Wait a minute. No, but you're saying in one match. Are you saying in one match, Dave?
Yeah.
12,000
He didn't run 12,000 kilometers in one match.
That's halfway around the world.
Halfway around the world. I think you mean 12.4 kilometers. It's like
sorry.
12.4, which is massive because David Beckham used to win the.
12 point. Yeah,
David Beckham used to run like 12 kilometers and always get the most moved player in every game. So 12.4 Ks is insane.
I can't even believe Adam disrespected Højbjerg after he covered 12,400 kilometers and he's disrespecting Højbjerg. I mean,
I'm just saying it's one possibility that Højbjerg needs a rest.
You see that distance covered. It's absurd. Seeing what he can cover in a match. That's what Vikings cover, my man.
Yeah. Moon boots, maybe. He's got rockets on his feet. But...
I just think the odd time Højbjerg flatters to deceive. He'll do a lot of something to hide that he's not doing a lot of something else. That's all. That's just my opinion. I'm not throwing him under the bus. He's a great player.
Careful on here. Careful doing that on here, Adam.
we have that. We saw that two in midfield can work, and Winks did not impress against Southampton or Wolves. What does he have to do today so that the drop off in all round quality is not so noticeable or costly?
Well, but I take a little bit. I challenge the idea that we played two in midfield. I don't think we did. I think Harry Kane was found more regularly in midfield than he was up front. I just think Harry Kane put in the shift of his life where he would drop deep, receive the ball, and then find a way to end up in the box at the right time because of people like Kulusevski, who would get the ball and would slow the play down just enough without dilly-dallying on the ball to then be able to find Kane in the last, in the box at the right moment. So I know that we played technically a 3-4-3, but I really think that Harry Kane's role in that space in the team was more of a midfielder than it was as a forward, as an out forward that you would normally say. Whether you call it a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-5, whatever. I don't know how like I always say, there's not much difference between the two. It depends on individual roles. So I do think that Harry Kane was hustling and bustling more than Harry Winks ever would. So that's why I don't necessarily think that it did work 3-4-3. But what was the question about Harry Winks? What has he got to do to prove that he's worthy? Is that what's the question?
Well, against Southampton and Wolves, he was absolutely shocking. And
useless.
What does he have to bring into the team today so that the drop off in all around quality is not so noticeable or costly?
I think he's got to take a leaf out of Harry Kane's book. But I don't want to see him necessarily, like flying high. But I think he has to recognize that if you're a passing midfielder, you have other things you have to do. And I think that against Wolves and Southampton, especially against Wolves,
he needs to make braver passes. He needs to make braver passes, Sean. Passes that only a passing midfielder can thread through. Sometimes I think Winks doesn't do that. He doesn't want to play the pass that his job, probably requires him to do, maybe.
Yeah, I also think he's very against the Wolves game, and we were all at the stadium, or some of us were. Dave and I were. I think that it was obvious to me that he was like blamed. He would shout and scream at the other players, like to kind of be visible. Like we always talk about him, like he's the teacher's pet. He'll put in a shift in the training ground, and Conte, I can rely on him. I think he even said as such in one of the recent press conferences. He's reliable. I don't think he is. I think he's reliable to act as if. But when he gets on the pitch, I don't necessarily think he does it. I think he's very vocal in complaining about other people not doing their job, but he doesn't realise that he's not necessarily doing his job, which leads to other players getting pulled out of position. So what I think he needs to recognise is that his role in the team is not just somebody who can sit back and then thread the pass, because he doesn't even do that particularly well. But if you're gonna put in a 6 out of 10 with your passing game, at least do the other side of your game, which is put pressure on, which is, be moving into spaces, give options. He's all too often found very stationary, waiting for the ball rather than moving to a position to find the ball. And I think that today, if he does get the chance in whichever formation we're using, then I think that it's incredibly important that he takes a look at someone like Harry Kane's performance. Not necessarily the offensive side where he makes it to the box at the end, but just the finding the space. Harry Kane received the ball every time and he had space. He wasn't necessarily pressured all the time, but that wasn't because Harry Kane was standing still and the Man City weren't there. It was because Harry Kane was always moving. And I think Harry Winks doesn't move enough for a player who wants to be the thread passer, right? And I think that, you look at people like Xavi and Iniesta, what they used to do at Barcelona. They are always doing this. Every second they haven't got the ball, they're looking around them. How close is the nearest player? He's too close. I need to move to get further away. Always being in space. And Harry Winks doesn't do it. If you want to ask what does he need to do to impress me today, is do that. Do that first, so that when you receive the ball, you're going to have a little bit of time to think about what you're going to do. And then let's see if you can pass the ball into the space, and let's see if you can, do a slide rule pass into Kane, into Sonny, to whoever else. But first and foremost, find space, bro. Find the space. I don't think he does that well enough.
Wow. Sean, I wish you were his under-10s coach, because you would have made a huge impact on his career with that speech. I'll tell you that. He would have been the next Iniesta and Xavi with that speech. Jeez, I wish he got that from his under-10s coach.
Moondog says, if I see Winks in the team, I will explode. Yeah, so will I. But, he is going to come in at some stage. You can't keep getting these boys in the midfield with you, especially with the running done against City, to keep competing 90 minutes all the time. He is going to have to come in at some stage, and we're just going to have to accept it, unfortunately, as hard as it may be, Moondog. Gaguma says, if Bentancur is rested, I will miss him a lot, but I hope Winks steps up. He can play He can play very well when he is focused and confident, I think.
Yeah.
Look, he's had a couple of decent performances this year, but nothing that has excelled in my eyes. Look, the best I've seen Winks play has been in the 3 in midfield, not a 2 in midfield. And that's my fear today. That is my fear, because we don't have the bodies put in a 3 unless you're also drafting in Harvey White in there as well, if you are resting one of Højbjerg or Bentancur.
And Conte won't do that.
In a 2, I worry for this guy. I really do. He's just not up to Premier League level to be able to play in a 2, Gaguma. Look, when he is focused, I agree. Maybe some of his passing going forward is probably a little bit better. When he is focused, sometimes he can play them balls over the top, but they're too far in between. The problem is with Winks is you don't know what one you're going to get. And I think that's the biggest problem, Gaguma, that probably scares me, I would say. But big up, and I really do.
Aren't you also kind of a bit worried, Dave? Like, this has happened before where when Højbjerg took Winks' spot, we saw Winks kind of plunge back into, like, that despair of really bad form. This could be happening again with Bentancur coming in, and now he's competing with Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Skip. I feel like Winks, unless he, sees it as good competition, he might just sink into like a state of like, deep unconfidence, or lack of confidence.
The guy's not.
He did that with Højbjerg last season.
Look, the guy's not good enough to be here. He's not Premier League standard, not where we want to go. He's only living off his homegrown stats. But for the sake of a pre-match build-up, look, I have to try and see what he can offer for the game. But everybody knows my thoughts that this guy is just not good enough to be here. Yeah. Moondog says Winks should be done under trade description that he is not a footballer. There is that element to it. Look, he's just not good enough for Tottenham. And I'd argue, what midfield does he actually get into in the Premier League? Because he's not going to get into a team lower down the Premier League because they have workhorses in there. They have boys that are in there to break.
Yeah, we spoke about this once, Dave.
Yeah, Winks doesn't
even get into the Burnley midfield. Doesn't even get into the Burnley midfield. This guy, it's actually quite shocking when you think, especially the role that he plays is that weird, small, deep lying sort of playmaker kind of player. Like, there aren't many of them in the Premier League, and if he does, get into any Premier League team, he certainly doesn't get in using that role. So it is kind of scary to think about.
100%. Big up, Moondog. I really appreciate the support, my man. Top man. Adam, Burnley are a narrow, compact defensive team. Is this a match that might suit Winks? And if we do bring in Winks today and rest either Bentancur or Højbjerg, do you think we will miss the physical presence and the protection for the defence that they provided versus Man City?
100%. If we know that he can only play in the 3 in the middle. So if we're playing Winks, if we play Winks in the 2 in the middle, then he's basically just this vacuous space. And this is what I'm saying about the unfortunate situation that we have then with Højbjerg, where he is stifled. He has to make up for that lack in the middle. That's when he does get run ragged, and he has to do. If you're there doing 150% of the work because the person standing next to you is incapable. We're putting Højbjerg under too much pressure, and there's too much empty space. There really is. I do feel like when Winks is playing in a 2, he's literally he's just a gaping hole for someone to run through. The guy is not he's not able to pass forward when he's put under pressure. So unless he has other people to lead some of the some of the people coming onto him in a different direction, try and preoccupy some of the other players in midfield, then Winks doesn't have enough space to have, because he's not confident. He is really not confident. It's because he's weak as well. Winks is he's not a physically imposing player. Once in a blue moon, you'll see him kind of see red, and he'll go in for a tackle. You're like, okay, that wasn't very, very Winks-like, but once in a blue moon, you'll see that. But more often than not, he's a pushover. He's an absolute kitten, and therefore, that's not the strength that you need in a midfield too, especially when we play so wide. That's what I keep saying, is that our wing backs play incredibly wide the whole time. They don't move in. They don't move narrowly and kind of go with whatever side the play is on. They stay wide, which means that whole space in the middle is just, if you haven't got two absolute ballers in there, you're going to lose possession.
Yeah.
And so if Winks plays, I am going to be disappointed unless we somehow have worked out a different formation for him to play in. Because if we bring in Kulu into a more central position, and then Son and Kane are up front on their own, or at Mora, play him in the center of the pitch just ahead of Winks and Højbjerg, then it might work a little bit better. But if we're playing the usual 3-4-3, I'd be very, very concerned with Winks playing even against Burnley.
Yeah, spot on. I would be too. It's definitely going to be a drop off in quality, a drop off in terms of physicality in there as well. So I just hope that Conte doesn't. I hope he sticks with Kulusevski and Bentancur, get them through today and then get them through Leeds. You can rest them in the FA Cup if needs be.
Yeah.
Jack, Kulusevski finished the game versus Man City with the most sprints, 21, and the most intensive runs, 408. And 1 goal and 1 assist, and could have added 2 more versus Brighton. Does he retain his spot over Lucas Moura today?
I think he probably does, Dave. Apart from maybe the stats that you just mentioned, Dave, I feel like what he actually kind of does is he maybe can add a bit of that creativity in those sort of tight areas, maybe in a different way than maybe Lucas does. Lucas, I feel like when Lucas is really at his best is when he can maybe drive at a team and just be able to kind of, do that thing that sometimes we do criticize him for, Dave, which is kind of dribble into blind alleys and, and things like that. I feel like against a team like Burnley, that kind of would be the most likely outcome for Lucas, is that he would try to take on 2 or 3 guys, probably succeed with it, but then might not actually, do anything with it at the end, where maybe someone like Kulusevski, Dave, could be a bit more methodical, could be a bit more creative, a bit more, I don't know, might pick his head up, and see somebody that Lucas wouldn't. We all know Lucas, when he picks up the ball, he's not really always the guy to maybe do a first touch sort of pass. He's kind of the guy that, might pick up the ball, like I said, skinner 2 or 3 men and then, lay it off to somebody, where Kulusevski, perhaps could play that pass that maybe Lucas wouldn't pick up his head for. I really want to see Lucas pick up his form as well, Dave. But even when he came on, it felt like against Man City, it wasn't exactly, again, seeing the Lucas that I feel like we saw in the beginning of the season. I think Kulusevski deserves, to start again. He put in a lot of hard work in that game. So I'd like to see if his legs are up for it. But I think he does deserve it, Dave. I think he could be a bit more creative against a very tough Burnley team. Perhaps he plays that cross into Kane that maybe Lucas doesn't. Maybe he plays that through ball that maybe Lucas doesn't. Or even Steven Bergwijn, to be honest, I'd like to see come in at some stage, as I know people maybe are giving up on him again, since he hasn't played very much. But I don't know, since his last few, moments or cameos, I thought he's looked pretty good. So I would say maybe Kulusevski or Bergwijn over Lucas, to be fair, David. Just think Lucas does need a break. He's not really been playing very well. So any of those two.
Interesting. Shawnee, Lucas has regained possession 16 times inside the final third this season, the most of any Spurs player. Could the way Burnley like to play actually suit Lucas Moura tonight and be the right game to rest Kulusevski?
First of all, I'm sorry if I was mic breathing and I don't know what happened. This new mic is all sorts of weird. I don't know what's going on with it. I need to figure it out. So apologies if I was too noisy there. In terms of Lucas Moura, I think that look, he's a great player. I love Lucas Moura. I think he's a superb option to have. And he would have been my first choice tonight. However, we've seen how the front three of Kane, Sonny, and Lucas can struggle when you are trying to break teams down that sit in their back third, right? And I just think that Lucas, I don't think, you're not going to drop Sonny, you're not going to drop Kane. And I think that, Lucas doesn't have the plan B, the option B. So... no, I don't want to see Lucas play tonight. I want to see Kulusevski start. I think he offers something different. And also, I think after his performance against Manchester City, it would be criminal to drop him. I don't know if he's only getting up to full fitness. In the first 2 games, Conte was saying he's not fully fit yet. Now he looks like he is getting there. He's not going to be exhausted. He's not going to be tired. So let's give him a run in the game, run in the team. And I think tonight is a game where we're going to need to have someone who's got that ability to pass delicately as we go forward. So, yeah, for me, don't want to see Lucas in the starting 11.
I'm totally with you. Word for word. Absolutely love it. Moondog, He is Deadwood, and to a degree, maybe he's been good for a few games. Has Winks ever been good for a consistent spell? Maybe this has been, I guess, that spell that he had that lasted 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was. Maybe it was the first time ever that Winks ever had, a good spell of form. Moondog, but big yourself up, my man. Big yourself up.
We have to remember as well, guys, that like at the end of the day, we don't have to rest players for an entire 90 minutes. Resting players for even 45 minutes is going to be, it can be sufficient to be able to allow them not to be put under too much pressure. We know that we've got more games than most that are challenging for top four over the next while. Some of the games haven't even been scheduled yet, and so we do have a long way to go before the end of the season. But 45 minutes of rest can be sufficient, once in a while.
Spot on. We'll stick with you, Adam. Weghorst has had the most shots, 9, created the most chances, 5, and had the joint most touches in the opposition box, 13 of any other Burnley player since his debut for the club. Like I said earlier on, he has also netted his last 83 league goals from coming inside the box, and will provide, in a strange way, what City probably missed in the box when we beat them. How do we stop such a lethal fox in the box like Weghorst, considering he's big and gangly as well?
Well, it's got to be the nous and tactical ability of Romero, and then just the inherent shot stopping of Dyer. Dyer's tall, he's big, and he loves to get in front of the ball. When you have someone who is able to smash straight at the goal, Dyer is a player who's not afraid whatsoever of just getting in front of that ball. So having him back is tremendous for us for that. Like he is one of those players where We've often criticized him for switching off from time to time. He's not the quickest, i.e. moon boots, but he is. One thing he is an incredible shot stopper, because he's very physical. He's not afraid to get between the ball and the goal. So I think it's what it really comes down to is he's got the physicality to be able to take on someone of the stature of Weghorst.
No, 100%. 6'6", yeah. I think 6'5", Welsh guy. 6'5" he is. He's an absolute giant, so he is.
What's Dyer? Dyer's 6 foot, what, 2?
He's not 6'6".
No, he's like 6 feet. I think he's like 6 feet, 6'1". He's not very tall, actually.
I do actually have more questions I want to dish out, but I won't get them today. So I do want to touch on the magnificent duo of Sonny and Kane. So we will get on to that next. Angel Matos says, each and every man under my command owes me 3 Burnley points, and I want my points. And all y'all get me 3 Burnley points taken from the heads of 11 exhausted Burnley men, or you will die trying. Lieutenant Aldo Conte.
Should have read that like a Scottish accent or something like that, Dave. It sounds like an army general coming from Angel here. Absolute legend. Every single one of them are going to be under your command tonight, Angel. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the dugout next to Conte. Pointing at the men, telling them where they need to be positioned, and certainly they need to be getting you all 3 points, unless if anything goes wrong, they might as well just leave themselves on the field, never to return home. Almost kind of, Enes Mira style, my man. Big Angel, though, huge, big one here, and he's coming from the lieutenant ranks of Antonio Conte's man, Dave.
Yeah, I believe that's Conte 316. In the Conte Bible. Absolutely love it. Angel, you may send me on a copy of that Conte Bible, my man, so I can read a verse here every single game. Every game, just read a verse out of the Conte Bible. Absolutely love it, Angel. Do not worry, them 3 points should be delivered tonight, my man. So, look, me, Sean, and Jack will definitely be reporting for duty to lend our hand to the 3 points tonight. Anyway, so.
We'll leave it all in the field. We'll leave it all in the field, Angel. Pick yourself up.
Big up. What an absolute legend. Really appreciate the support. And Al Ben says, great show. God bless you all. Al Ben, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Absolute gentleman. Look, it's all I do is put the questions together. It's the boys that actually make the show with the way they answer the questions and all that sort of stuff. So absolutely love it, Al Ben. What an absolute gentleman. But guys, we are going to end off just talking a little bit about Sonny and Harry Kane today. Before we do, everybody, make sure you do smash that like button, though. Make sure you do smash that subscribe button as well. The like button is a massive help towards the YouTube algorithm. Helps push the videos out to more fans and stuff like that. And then the subscribe button while the 6K is on, so I just want to get there as quick as possible. And guys, feel free to get your super chats in for the last 5-10 minutes of the show. Really help myself and Jack out on this YouTube journey, and they always lead to great talking points and questions also. But look, I do want to get everybody in on these two questions here. So we'll start with Jack, and we will work our way around, give everyone time to answer them. Jack, Son Heung-min and Harry Kane have assisted each other for a goal 36 times, a joint Premier League record with Didier Drogba and Frank Lampard. Are these two the most underrated duo in the Premier League ever? Do you expect them to break it tonight? And what is it that makes this partnership so fucking special?
That's a good question, Dave. They're definitely going to be breaking it. I'd like to see them break it tonight. It's going to be broken at some stage. Is it the most underrated duo of all time? Hard to say, Dave, at least because especially since we're Spurs fans, we certainly would make the argument that it's the best one of all time. Maybe we don't speak to rival fans enough, because if they would maybe suggest something else, perhaps maybe people aren't maybe aware that these guys are about to be smashing that record with also lots of time, left as well. Drogba and Lampard, Dave, it looks like, they were setting that record towards also the end of their careers, at Chelsea, where, Sonny and Harry Kane, they still have plenty of years, you could probably say, left at Spurs to, make that record even bigger. So will they really be underrated for it? I certainly hope not, because I think that would just be a huge disrespect towards them. And what is making this partnership so lethal and so special, Dave? Perhaps actually the fact that with this one, they're both players that make each other better, Dave, you could say. They make each other better, I would argue. Where Harry Kane, he, at the end of the day, does need somebody that he can play that pass into, somebody that does have that bit of pace, but somebody that can also make those runs that Harry Kane knows that players should be making. Harry Kane is easily, most games, the most intelligent player on the pitch, Dave, but he needs someone that can be just intelligent as him in order to make those runs in behind, in order to show for the ball when he's looking to find somebody. And Sonny has been that man for him. It's been a beautiful marriage. So perhaps what makes it so special, Dave, quickly to answer the question, is just simply that they kind of weirdly make each other better. Despite being world-class players, they make each other better, and they bring the best out of each other. So that's what I would probably say, Dave. Also, as we even saw last night with Man City, Dave, the fact that they can even do sort of each other's roles is also kind of insane. Sonny was, pulling up deep at times to be able to play in Harry Kane. We don't always see that. I think it's just two world-class players that can do each other's roles and can make each other better.
No, 100%. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Shawnee, same question to you, my man. Are they the greatest duo ever in Premier League history? If they break it, will they break it tonight? And what makes it so special?
Well, they are going to break it. I think they're going to, by the end of the season, they're going to be on, 36 right now? All being well, I think they'll be on 45, 48 by the end of the season.
Wow.
And look, there's still 14 games left to go in our season. The vast majority of our goals come from one of those two players.
Yeah.
And so all you need is the other person to just put a little dinky pass through. And you've got the stat coming up. I genuinely think that we could be on 40, 42, 44 by the end of the season. And then if Harry Kane signs a new contract, he's not going anywhere. Let's be honest. He's going to be a one-team man his entire career. Sonny's just signed a new contract. These guys have got 3 or 4 more years playing together, in my opinion. And so, by the end of that, they could be on 80. Like it'll be a record that will never be catchable by anybody, right? And so, are they the best ever? At the moment, they haven't quite proven it. But here's a prediction, Dave. You know how you love to call out a prediction after the fact. Like, here's the one that I'm calling in. They will be the number one partnership pairing forevermore. There will never be another Sonny and Kane. Ever. And tonight is the night they're going to break it. And then from then on, they're going to go and just set record after record after record. And it's going to be a wonderful thing.
No, lad, I absolutely love it. I love it. 2 brilliant answers there. You're getting me fired up for the game now. I just wanted to be in half an hour's time. Yourself and Jack, you've been at all game. You're a danger to my health, lads. But Adam, same question to you, my man. And by the way, you've been absolutely brilliant today. Thank you so much for coming on. For your first time coming on as well. Absolute legend. Just quickly, actually. Killian, you missed it. You have missed it, my man. We sat here talking about Doherty for about 15 minutes. Where we were looking for you. But big up, Killian. Big up, my man.
Rewind.
I'll have to timestamp it for him. I'll have to timestamp it for him.
You'll have to give him a timestamp for sure. But Adam, you know, again, same question that I said posed to the boys about Kane and Son. Best duo ever in Premier League history. Will they break it tonight? And I suppose another one to add in: how far will they take it? And what makes them so special?
So first of all, thanks so much for having me on, Dave. Like, I really appreciate you getting me in for this, because your channel is obviously, it's fantastic, and it's great to be on, you know, with the #1 Irish Spurs fan in the whole world. So I appreciate you getting me in for it. Are they the best? Look, as far as I'm concerned, if you look up at the best strikers that the Premier League have ever had, it's actually it's crazy how most of them actually look. Most of them tend to be English. You look at Wayne Rooney. You look at Alan Shearer. These are the, you know, the top two of the top strikers that the Premier League has ever seen. But it's even in their terms, I think Harry Kane is going to blow them out of the water for best Premier League striker ever. He is just, the stats just show it. He's outdoing them in every single regard. And for him, you know, we're absolutely, you know, we're blessed that he is a Spurs lad and that he's been with us, and please God, he's going to stay with us until the twilight of his career. So, you know, one of the best strikers in the Premier League history, possibly the best striker that, you know, by the time he finishes his career, we may remember Harry Kane as the best striker that the world has ever seen. Let's be honest. And then when he's playing, when he is playing with Heung-min Son, who for me is my favorite player of all time, Heung-min Son, I think there's a degree to which like, we are, again, so blessed that Heung-min Son seems to love Spurs through and through, because I'm pretty sure that if Spurs had gone to another team, or if Sonny had gone to another team, he probably could have shown what he's capable of on a totally other, you know, on another level, because Spurs have had ebbs and flows. We've had times where the team wasn't invested in, and then it's, you know, it's yeah, and it's left Kane and Son to a certain extent not being able to live up to their absolute full potential. But I genuinely think Son, for me, I believe Son would have been another Cristiano Ronaldo had he been playing, you know, for a team. If he had decided to move to Real Madrid, or if he had moved to Manchester United, I honestly think the Son he's just. I think that there are ways in which he's even more clinical than Harry Kane at times. Just the things that he's able to do, you know, with his shots, his goal scoring. And then in terms of them as a partnership, lads, can you think of any, like, I mean, they're obviously showing it with breaking these records that they're the most synchronous players that have ever played the game, because, you know, they're absolutely smashing it out of the park, and they're going to go on to. I do believe that they will go on. I think, Sean, you're absolutely bang on. They're going to go on to set a record that will be nigh impossible to break ever again. They are that good, and the reason being is because they fit together. They're like, you know, they're peanut butter and jelly. They fit together so perfectly. You have a player like Harry Kane who's able to, like, first of all, the two of them are always 100% aware of where each other are. Yeah, they are just so in sync at knowing, I know exactly where my boy is. I know exactly where my boy is. And so Harry Kane is a player who's able to pass a ball through the defense so perfectly, and Kane and then Sonny with the afterburners able to chase down that ball faster than anybody on this planet.
Yeah, one of the fastest players in the Prem too, yeah.
And then he's able to clinically put it away. And then you put the shoe on the other foot, and we go out on the wing. As soon as the ball goes out to Sonny out on the left, or if he plays on the right, because I've never seen a player so good with both feet. He's able to cross a ball, land it on a dime, and you know Harry Kane is going to be there waiting for it. They are just absolutely like, there's a connection there like no other, and we're blessed to have seen them play together. Please God, we've got another good few years of that partnership together, because honestly, it's the most beautiful thing to watch in football in this day and age. It really is.
Yeah, 100%.
Mic drop, Adam. Big up, Dave. You're on mute.
I was going to say, there you have it. I take it Adam's a fan of Son and Kane then. I love it. I love it. No, absolutely.
Biggest Hungman Son fan in the world.
Yeah,
Man,
that was like that would be like the intro to like a documentary about the two, like describing, like the impact of those two. Those beautifully put out. Beautifully put.
Nice one.
It was. Big yourself up, guys. Honestly, really have enjoyed today's show. Thank you so much, guys. Just a couple of super chats to get to. Let you plug the channels. And then we are out of here, and people can follow me over to We Are Tottenham TV for the pre-match pump-up at 6, and then back here for the watch-along at 7:15, where myself, Jack, and Sean will be taking it all the way through the game out the other end. Adrian Chaya says their partnership is unique because it's Son's run that triggers off Kane's pass, whereas other typical duo is for the runner to be triggered by the pass. It's actually a very spot-on comment there. Any one of you chomping at the bit to take this?
It probably, too. It is kind of maybe a different sort of duo where maybe Kane's pass is maybe different than, I don't know, like what's different between it and the Drogba kind of Lampard connection is perhaps the case that maybe their roles are kind of more defined between Lampard and Drogba, where I would say between Sonny and Harry Kane, the roles, yes, we all know what they're both good at, but the fact that they kind of both are huge goal scorers and both are huge kind of creators maybe makes it actually entirely different. And perhaps why they're going to shatter this record is because they're both ridiculous goal scorers, where as good as, Frank Lampard was, Dave, at, being able to get into the box late and score, and Drogba was, just being able to be a sheer goal scorer. It wasn't exactly like Frank Lampard was just a striker, like Harry Kane is, or like Sonny to a degree is. So maybe it is just an entirely different sort of connection. And even the way that they kind of partner up is also very different to any other sort of connection as well. So big up Adrian. Yeah. Very, very clever.
I think there's a...
sorry, go on. No,
I think there's a degree to which there is no trigger, in the sense that I don't think that one is waiting for the other on in any occasion. I think it's as soon as as soon as we're in possession, they both, again, they know exactly where each other are at all times. So it's not a case of kind of looking, okay, is this person doing this? Go. Neither of them are doing that. It's just, I have the ball now. Get it to where it needs to be, because I know where that, I know where my boy is. I know where my boy is. There's no trigger. It's just, I know. There.
Love that.
You're absolutely spot on, because I played, one of my best friends was playing with me, and it's like as soon as he got the ball, I knew exactly where to go to get it, and vice versa. As soon as I got the ball, he put himself in position to be able to take it off me, and it's just having that telepathic relationship. They just both know exactly what each other wants. They both know what each other's passing range is like. They both know what sort of runs they like to make, how they like the ball delivered to them. Honestly, for me, we break it tonight. Well, it is the most clinical partnership in the Premier League, So I can't wait for that to happen. I will go absolutely berserk. But big up, Adrian. Really do appreciate the support. Kaguma says Son and Kane duo is the absolute best. Not yet. It will be tonight, though, Kaguma. It will be tonight once they put it to bed finally. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love it. Big up, Kaguma. And Killian Gubins says, oh, no, chat moved on me. Love this channel so much. Really do appreciate that, Killian. Really do appreciate it. I've seen a lot of that in the chat today, actually. People saying that they really like it, this, that, and the other. Honestly, thank you so much. You have no idea how much it really does mean to me, myself and Jack, and how much it really does inspire us, keep us pushing every day to be better and keep pushing the content out there. So I'm really glad that everybody is enjoying it. But look, we're going to end off there now. I just want to find out exactly where we can find these magnificent people on the panel today. And we will start with, I believe Sean's is the first one in the chat. So let's start with Shawnee. Shawnee, where can people find you, my man?
Yeah, cheers, Dave. You can find me at Spurs Talk Show. All one word, hashtag no spaces. Spurs Talk Show is, it's just another channel. I've just been going a couple of months. We just managed to get past 500 subscribers yesterday, I think it was, which is a really cool start. It's only been going since December. So you can find me there. I usually have, Dave's on all the time. Jack, I know it's too early for you most of the time, but Adam's been on a lot recently, and hopefully he'll be on a lot more as well. And you can find me there. We talk about, we try and play some games. try and keep it lighthearted, but also keep the content pretty fresh and pretty relevant. I'm learning from these guys here. These guys are the masters, and I'm trying to kind of take as much as I can to shape my channel as well. So Spurs Talk Show is where you can find me, and I appreciate any love that you guys could throw as we're on the march towards 600 now.
No, 100%. Everybody get over there and absolutely do smash that subscribe button. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does. You've seen the team that we brought up earlier on at the start where he had all the list of the clubs and what games they have left. He's no cowboy, that's for sure. He definitely knows what he is doing to produce good content. So get over there and smash that subscribe button, people. And, as well, he gives us all the time here in the world. So, just if you could show that bit of courtesy to the man, that would be absolutely unbelievable. But speaking of one, let's go to another. Again, here every single time, puts in an incredible amount of work on this channel and behind the scenes, but also on his own channel, which has also gotten over 1,000 subscribers. And it's Jack, Flat Cap Your Talk.
Everybody, I kind of put a community post about it. I kind of left a piece of my mic over at Lazy 8's house. So I do have to get that back, but I will be releasing the video for my big thank you for 1,000. I have two huge lists of basically everybody that I kind of just went back through all the videos and looked at all the comments, and who I really kind of saw were like, real regulars and people that really did show me a lot of support. And it's a really, really long list of people that have shown me a lot of support. So I'm going to kind of just put them all on a big list. I'm just going to kind of just send a massive kind of personal thank you to a lot of you people on that list. So that video will be coming out tonight after the Burnley match. So do stay tuned for that. And Flat Cap Army, really, and Harris Army, thank you. And I said today, you're making me feel so welcomed, so just engaged, and as well as just feeling like home and just feel like I'm part of a big family. So really do appreciate it, everybody.
No, big yourself up, Jacko. Fully deserved, that's what I have to say. Absolutely fully deserved. So, guys, the YouTube channels you need to follow is Spurs Talk Show and the Flat Cap Your Talk. But Adam, I know you're going to want people following you after this, especially on Twitter and stuff like that, because a lot of them have said they've really liked you added to the panel today. They've really enjoyed you. So what is your Twitter handle and where can they find you?
Yeah, well, as far as the Spurs stuff is concerned, I'm just so glad that I've seemed to have ingratiated myself with so much of the fandom in this community. It's the best community that I'm blessed. I really am to know you guys and to be consistently being part of these panels. It's amazing. So thank you so much again for having me on here. I'll come on anytime that you want. And obviously Sean as well. Thank you so much for having me on your show so much. And it's tremendous to be able to come on and talk Spurs with you guys, because as much as Spurs is one of my greatest passions. It really is. And so just being able to get involved with you guys, I can't devote the time to it to have my own channel or whatever, so to be able to come on and do this stuff with you guys is just amazing. My number one thing going on in my life is that I'm a director, I'm a filmmaker, and so if anybody wants to actually just follow what I'm doing, Wild Stag Productions is my production company, and at Wild Stag Media is how you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I have a feature film that's doing the festival circuit at the moment, and then it's eventually going to get distributed on a streaming platform. So you want to know kind of what I'm doing at the moment. That's kind of cool. Outside of the Spurs stuff. But when it comes to the Spurs stuff, I'm around for whoever wants me. I'm one of these Spurs sluts that everyone talks about. I just go from channel to channel.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Well, Adam, I'd say there's going to be a fair few requests. That's for sure. You're making a similar impact to like Shawnee made when he came in like a whirlwind. Hurricane Sean, now we have Hurricane Adam, and that's after Hurricane Jack came in. Absolutely love that, guys. Well, everybody, we are going to end it there. I want to say a massive thank you to Jack, Sean, and Adam for giving up their time this afternoon. Not an easy time of the day to be giving it up. So thank you, guys. A massive thank you to everybody out there who has tuned in throughout the course of this stream, peaking at 350 live at one stage, which is absolutely insane for the time of the day it is. And a massive thank you to everybody who engages in the chat. A massive thank you to everybody who also helps support the channel financially. You have no idea how much it really does help us out. And look, all I can say is Burnley are waiting for us. Someone put in a terrific comment earlier on. We're going to roll the dice. So I absolutely can't wait. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on. Oh, and see you back here at 7:15. And heading over to We Are Tottenham TV now if people want to follow.
Head on over to We Are Tom TV, people.
Yeah, baby.
Come on, Spurs.